Chapter 3350. At the edge of the continent, the Dragon Palace reigns supreme on Swish. A horrifying bullet was launched at the two devouring dragons. One of the devouring dragons looked over and suddenly opened its gigantic mouth. A black hole-like energy swallowed the bullet. Wong. With a shake of his body, several devouring dragons formed from the earth element, surrounded the black hole, and attacked the warhead. Roar! Roar! The other devouring dragon continued to attack the surrounding mecha warships and spaceships. Each attack destroyed a large number of mecha warships and spaceships, causing them to fall to the ground. Roar! Do you think you can annihilate the Dragon Palace with your strength? At this moment, Roving Crab blocked the horrifying bullet. However, the follow-up attack did not come. He moved and charged into the sky above the Iron and Steel Union. Roar! Roar! He opened his mouth and devil flames rained down. Boom! The horrifying devil flames destroyed a large number of weapons. Swish! At this moment, Wang Xian made use of his strong defense and speed to escape from the flames of war. He fixed his eyes on a general from the Iron and Steel Union and flapped his unbeginning saint wings. Swish! He pushed his speed to the limit and attacked that general directly. Attack him! That general sensed Wang Xian's attack and roared. Roar! Roar! Wang Xian was shrouded in a dense barrage of bullets. A Taiji diagram appeared around him, and Wang Xian passed through the barrage of bullets. Oh no, he's too fast. That general was horrified when he saw that all the attacks were ineffective against Wang Xian and his horrifying speed. Die! Wang Xian came to the front of that general and waved his dragon claws. Boom! Boom! That general fired waves of horrifying energy, but it had no effect on the dragon claws. The dragon claws fell, and that general fell into Wang Xian's dragon claws. Boom! An explosion sounded from his dragon claws as Wang Xian scanned the surroundings coldly. Oh no! That Dragon King is also horrifying. We are no match for him. A general is dead. A general was killed by Wang Xian. The surrounding people were filled with fear and trepidation. This was a general of their Iron and Steel Union, an almost immortal existence. Warning, warning, the enemy is too strong. The base cannot resist. The base cannot resist. At this time, in the cockpits of the huge battleships, the voice of the AI sounded in the minds of the generals. Hearing this voice, everyone in the Iron and Steel Union turned pale. Damn it! How can the Dragon Palace have 4 rank 9 venerable realm powerhouses? How is this possible? The leader of the Iron and Steel Union roared unwillingly. Leader, we're no match for them. Activate absolute defense. A general roared ferociously when he saw all the experts from Dragon Palace rushing into their base. Activate absolute defense. The leader of the Iron and Steel Union roared and gave the order. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, a light barrier rose around him and shrouded him in all directions. All disciples of the Iron and Steel Union, retreat to the core circle. Bombard the experts of Dragon Palace. The group of generals immediately ordered loudly. Boom, boom, boom. One by one, the self-destructing mechas charged towards Wang Xian and Ao Xie with no regard for their lives. The sound of explosions continued. The light barrier shrouded them and formed a golden defensive space. This golden radiance wasn't the power of technology, but the defense of the grotto heaven and blessed land in their base. Boss, help me destroy this golden sawtooth first. At this time, the devouring dragon, which had been facing the golden sawtooth, roared at Ao Xie and the rest. The golden sawtooth was extremely powerful. As it spun continuously, it seemed to have intelligence. The terrifying golden sawtooth sliced through all the energy. Even the devouring dragon, a universe venerable rank 9, had to avoid it. This was the strongest offensive weapon of the Iron and Steel Union. They were built with the metals produced in a grotto heaven and blessed land and the AI. Although the attack power was singular and couldn't destroy a rank 9 venerable realm powerhouse, even a rank 9 venerable realm powerhouse would have a headache if he was entangled. Suppress this golden sawtooth. Roving Crab roared and turned around to attack the golden sawtooth. Only a level 9 universe supremacy. The devouring dragon accompanied Wang Xian. He stared at the shield in front and waved his dragon claws. Boom, boom, boom. Waves of terrifying attacks landed on the shield, but the entire shield didn't budge an inch. This made the devouring dragon frown slightly. Dragon King, the defense of this shield is really terrifying. He immediately transmitted a message. Shield? Hee. Wang Xian smiled faintly and didn't mind as he looked to the side. Boom, boom, boom. The golden sawtooth was spinning slower and slower under the attacks of Ao Xie and the other two devouring dragons. Oh no, the sky sawtooth is about to be suppressed. Within the shield of the Iron and Steel Union, a group of generals saw the sky sawtooth being suppressed by Ao Xie and the other three and were embarrassed. The sky sawtooth could be said to be the biggest trump card of the Iron and Steel Union. Now, it was about to be suppressed by the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace is too strong. Fortunately, we still have the defense of the Grotto Heaven. Cold sweat trickled down the forehead of a general as he spoke with an embarrassed look. For rank 9 venerables were no longer something that the Iron and Steel Union could handle. The leader of the Iron and Steel Union stood in the middle as his expression changed constantly. Look at the intelligence system. It has sent news that the Lich Kingdom and the Wrapped Corpse tribe have been annihilated. Completely annihilated. At this time, a general exclaimed, "What?" Everyone in the surroundings was slightly shocked. It should be the work of the two rank 9 venerables from the Dragon Palace. When we were about to besiege the Dragon Palace, they were already prepared to annihilate us. The group of generals shuddered as their expressions darkened. When they were about to annihilate the Dragon Palace was also preparing to annihilate them. The Sky Sawtooth has been stopped by them. Phew, the Dragon Palace is too strong. At this time, a general looked to the front. The energy of the Sky Sawtooth was almost depleted. Fortunately, our Grotto Heaven is strong enough to have a terrifying defensive shield. At this moment, all the disciples and higher-ups of the Iron and Steel Union felt lucky. Beep, beep, beep. Enemy invasion. Enemy invasion. At this time, an unusually urgent voice suddenly resounded throughout the space. Behind half of the Iron and Steel Union's base, figures slowly appeared. Chapter 3351. Enemy invasion? How could there be an enemy invasion? How is this possible? Our Grotto Heaven and Blessed Land has a strong defense. How could it be invaded? When the voice of the artificial intelligence was heard, all the experts and disciples of the Iron and Steel Union looked around in shock. The defense of the Grotto Heaven and Blessed Land was their last shelter. If it was invaded, the consequences would be unimaginable. The leader of the Iron and Steel Union and over 20 generals were also scanning the area in shock. At this moment, a series of roars came from behind them. A massive dragon might rush towards them. What? At this moment, all the high-level disciples of the Iron and Steel Union trembled violently as they looked behind them. When they saw the Dragon King and the 4 devouring dragons, their eyes widened. How is this possible? How did they get in here? How is this possible? An incredulous voice came from the mouth of a general. This was their last line of defense. Kill. Today will be the end of the Iron and Steel Union. Wang Xian stared ahead with a violent aura in his eyes. He swayed his huge dragon body and waved his dragon claws. All sorts of 5 elements energy weapons on the 5 elements grindstone smashed forward. Horrifying ice arrows, blazing suns, pagodas that emitted flames, fans that stirred up hurricanes. All sorts of elemental laws and energies wreaked havoc in the surroundings. Die! Roving Crab and the rest roared out. Moving their bodies, they charged towards the center. Their eyes were locked on the leader of the Iron and Steel Union and the generals. Huff, huff, huff. Resist. Even if we die, we won't let them have it easy. The leader of the Iron and Steel Union was breathing heavily. His eyes were filled with despair and madness. He roared crazily. The body of the golden battleship shone brightly. Rays of sharp golden radiance met the attacks of Ao Xie and the rest. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Sounds of collision rang out. However, the combined strength of the Iron and Steel Union could only match 2 to 3 rank 9 universe supremacies. Now that the sky-sawing tooth was suppressed, their resistance was greatly reduced. Moreover, within the defense of the Grotto Heaven and Blessed Land, they couldn't defend against the 4 devouring dragons. Roar, roar, roar. Streaks of terrifying dark quicksand swept downwards in an earth-shattering manner. Bam, bam, bam. A large number of mecha battleships and battleships crumbled and plummeted downwards. There were more than 1 billion mechas and spaceships in the Iron and Steel Union. Now that they were hiding in this defense, they could only launch attacks from the front. Their attacks did not have much effect on Wang Xian and Roving Crab. With each attack, tens of millions of mecha battleships were shot down. The area below was instantly turned into a vast sea of fire. Kill, kill, kill. The eyes of the generals of the Iron and Steel Union were bloodshot as they roared. They activated the mecha on their bodies and launched a barrage of attacks at Roving Crab and Wang Xian. Die. The Tai Chi dragon wheel circled around Wang Xian. In an instant, he came to the side of a general and waved his dragon claws. Bam! The terrifying attack instantly caused sparks to fly all over his body as he fell heavily to the ground. Die! At this moment, more than a dozen generals charged towards Wang Xian. Humph! Wang Xian let out a soft snort and retreated rapidly. At this moment, 2 devouring dragons appeared on the left and right of Wang Xian and charged towards the dozen generals. Arg! They let out a final roar as they saw the devouring dragons charging towards them. Boom, boom, boom. Soon, sounds of explosions and collapses were heard. It's over. It's all over. With more than a dozen generals killed, the rest of the Iron and Steel Union were on the verge of collapsing. They looked at this scene in despair. This was not just a failure. They were going to be annihilated. From today onwards, there would probably be no Iron and Steel Union in the universe. In the following battles, the Iron and Steel Union had no strength to resist at all. Against the 4 devouring dragons of the Dragon Palace, the Iron and Steel Union perished rapidly. Even the leader of the Iron and Steel Union could only watch them perish helplessly. The battles and annihilations continued. And on the Universe AI, everyone was discussing and paying attention to this battle. It was especially so when the news of the annihilation of the Lich Kingdom and the Wrapped Corpse tribe spread. The entire Universe AI at the edge of the chaotic continent and the starry sky were discussing in shock. They were discussing the strength of the Dragon Palace and how strong it was. The Lich Kingdom and the Wrapped Corpse tribe had fled to their own territories after their defeat. Under such circumstances, they were annihilated so quickly. The Dragon Palace was too terrifying. The Dragon Palace should have made preparations to annihilate the 2 major tribes. They have already set up terrifying forces around their lair. I have a brother from the Lich Kingdom who escaped said that they were attacked by a rank 9 Universe Venerable. When they were about to escape, all their experts were annihilated. The ones who entered the lair of the Wrapped Corpse tribe and annihilated them must be rank 9 Universe Venerables. The Dragon Palace actually showed 4 rank 9 Universe Venerables. This strength is too terrifying. I wonder what's the situation at the Iron and Steel Union? Will the Iron and Steel Union be annihilated? On the Universe AI, from the beginning, all the forces and experts thought that the Dragon Palace would be suppressed. Now, the 2 major forces were annihilated. Now, all the forces and experts were discussing whether the Iron and Steel Union would be annihilated. Everyone was shocked by the strength that the Dragon Palace had displayed. This strength was already an invincible existence at the edge of the continent. At the edge of the heaven-opening continent, rank 8 Universe Venerables were the peak. The Iron and Steel Union was slightly more unique due to technological reasons. However, they could not reach the level of rank 9 Universe Venerables. Now that the Dragon Palace had just landed from the starry sky, they were invincible. This left the forces of the heaven-opening continent in a daze. The strength of the Dragon Palace was too strong. There were hundreds of thousands of forces at the edge of the heaven-opening continent. All of them were waiting for the outcome of this battle. Rumble. An hour later, within the defense of the Iron and Steel Union, the final rumble ended. The entire world seemed to have calmed down instantly. Dragon King. It's all settled. Roving Crab grabbed the head of the Iron and Steel Union leader with his dragon claws and said with a smile, "Very good. Settle it and search for the treasures of the Iron and Steel Union. In addition, send the heavenly array over to prevent these guys from cloning and escaping. Curse them directly. Wang Xian looked around and revealed a faint smile. The three major forces were annihilated. Chapter 3352. With the three major forces destroyed, it was time for the Dragon Palace to reap the rewards. The treasures of the Wrapped Corpse tribe and the Iron and Steel Union were being collected. Most of the treasures had been collected. Now, it was the Iron and Steel Union's turn. As the strongest Iron and Steel Union in the chaotic continent, they had been standing on this land for a long time. The treasures that they possessed would definitely reach an extremely terrifying level. Search for the treasures of the Iron and Steel Union, Wang Xian instructed Aosia, and the rest before turning into a human and flying downwards. Although the area below was in ruins, there were still many buildings that were intact, especially those underground base buildings. These metals can increase the devouring dragon's strength by quite a bit. Wang Xian scanned the surroundings and said with a smile, "Bam!" He landed on the ground and scanned the surroundings with his dragon eyes. Sensing the source of the massive energy, he moved and immediately came to an entrance. "Please proceed with the inspection." The voice of the artificial intelligence system was heard. Wang Xian waved his arm and destroyed it. Below them was a huge underground palace. The entire palace did not have the same technological feel as above. Instead, it was filled with the aura of nature. Trees and flowers of the universe supremacy level grew. There was also a man-made river that contained massive amounts of spiritual energy. The entire palace was made of green bricks and magnetic tiles. It was exceptionally beautiful. This should be the place where the higher-ups of the Iron and Steel Union live. Wang Xian scanned the surroundings, and his eyes shone. The surrounding trees and flowers were all of Universe Supremacy Level 5. Such a place was absolutely horrifying. Even the Dragon Palace did not have so many divine trees and herbs. Some of the trees even had some fruits that were emitting dense spiritual energy. As the Iron and Steel Union was developing technology, the use of the divine herbs in the Holy Kingdom might not even be comparable to the massive divine stones. This had also resulted in such a luxurious place to live. The entire palace occupied an area of about 100 kilometers. Although it was not very big, it was very beautiful. Wang Xian flew in the sky and could see the various general residences. There were 28 general residences, and the leader residence was located in the middle. Wang Xian came to the sky above the leader residence. The leader residence was located on top of the blessed grotto heaven. This blessed grotto heaven only had one effect. It could produce a powerful protective shield. Wang Xian landed in the leader residence and scanned the blessed grotto heaven in the backyard. There was a robot standing there motionlessly. Clearly, it was the one controlling the barrier. Wang Xian studied it for a moment. A gust of energy covered the grotto heaven and paradise. In an instant, the defensive barrier outside slowly disappeared. This defensive barrier can withstand the destructive power of a pinnacle universe supremacy. Without a lie, it would be impossible to destroy the Iron and Steel Union. Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he swept his dragon eyes across. Here, with a sway of his body, he arrived at a palace in the center of the leader's residence. This palace was emitting all sorts of powerful abilities. When he arrived at the palace, his eyes were filled with excitement. On the four walls of the palace, there were many treasures in crystal boxes. At a glance, there were more than 40 acquired supreme treasures. This was a postnatal treasure. Even a level 8 or 9 universe venerable would go all out to fight for such a treasure. Apart from these acquired treasures, there were also other kinds of mystical treasures. Wang Xian looked around and kept the acquired treasures. His eyes fell on the centermost area. There was a piece of metal there, a silvery white metal that kept squirming in the crystal box. Wang Xian could sense the mystical energy coming from it. What treasure is this? It's definitely extraordinary to be placed in the center. He mumbled to himself. Without studying it in detail, he kept all the treasures into his pocket. A large number of elixir pills should have been obtained from killing other experts. There were also various other treasures. Just these treasures from the Iron and Steel Union were enough to make Wang Xian achieve a breakthrough in his strength. Dragon King, Dragon Palace has arrived. Prime Minister Turtle's voice sounded while Wang Xian was searching. Wang Xian looked up to the sky. Dragon Palace had arrived. Collect all the treasures from the Iron and Steel Union. In addition, announce that the three major forces have been annihilated by Dragon Palace. Wang Xian replied immediately. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle replied immediately. Swish. He moved and entered the residences of the other generals to search for various treasures. This is a huge haul. Dragon Palace's strength will increase tremendously. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. Dragon Palace now had 1,000,000 universe supremacies. After this battle, it would increase by at least 800,000, or even 1,000,000. After all, these were all the resources of the three strongest forces at the edge of chaotic continent. Boom. When Prime Minister Turtle made the announcement in the name of Dragon Palace, all the forces and experts who were paying attention to this war were in an uproar. The Iron and Steel Union has also been annihilated. It's unprecedented to annihilate three major forces at once. Just as expected, the Iron and Steel Union couldn't withstand the attack of Dragon Palace. The three major forces have been established here for billions of years. The Dragon Palace is too ferocious. With such terrifying strength, they could even enter the depths of the heaven-opening chaotic continent, let alone land on land. After this battle, Dragon Palace will be the king at the edge of chaotic continent. Be it the forces surrounding the continent or the forces at the edge of chaotic continent, all of them were shocked. Dragon Palace will be the king at the edge of the continent. No experts from any forces dared to object to this statement. The Dragon Palace was built on the basis of their formidable strength and terrifying battle records. Once they landed, they were invincible. Some forces surrounding the continent were already considering whether they should pay a visit to Dragon Palace after it was completely stabilized. To curry favor, this battle had attracted everyone's attention. For a long time to come, they might be discussing this matter. Just as the AI was in an uproar, Wang Xian and the rest had emptied the entire Iron and Steel Union. Except for the grotto heavens that could not be taken away, everything else was taken away. All of the palaces were taken away as well. Their target was the revival grotto heaven in the corner of the sea. The grotto heavens occupied by the Wrapped Corpse tribe and the Iron and Steel Union were very powerful. But the most suitable for Dragon Palace was still the revival grotto heaven in the corner of the sea. That was the largest ocean in chaotic continent and more suitable for the future development of Dragon Palace. But this time, Dragon Palace will have to settle down and stabilize, Wang Xian murmured, thinking about the future development of Dragon Palace. Chapter 3353. Rumble, Rumble. Above the rebirth cave at the corner of the sea, the Dragon Palace slowly descended into the sea and stood above the cave. A white light shrouded the Dragon Palace slowly. Hovering above the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian and the experts of the Dragon Palace scanned their surroundings with a faint smile. Now, the Dragon Palace had truly established itself in the chaotic continent. As the energy from the blessed cave entered the Dragon Palace, all the disciples of the Dragon Palace could feel their recovery speed improving tremendously. All disciples of the Dragon Palace, improve your strength for now and cultivate diligently. When your strength is improved, explore the surrounding sea regions. Wang Xian's voice was heard by every disciple of the Dragon Palace. Yes, Dragon King. All the members of the Dragon Palace answered immediately. There were less than 2,000,000 disciples in the Dragon Palace now. The resources this time were enough for all the members to step into the universe supremacy realm. Roving Crab and the rest of the leaders of the Dragon Palace should also improve. Prime Minister Turtle, place all the treasures in the Dragon King Hall and arrange for the disciples to improve. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings and said with a smile, Yes, Dragon King. The group of leaders answered immediately. Wang Xian moved and came to the Dragon King Hall. Soon, a large number of treasures were placed in the center of the Dragon King Hall. These treasures were all obtained from the Wrapped Corpse tribe and the Witch Kingdom. In the center, there was a huge head of the Devil Dragon. That was the head of the Lich King. The Lich King had obtained the head of a Devil Dragon by chance and transferred it to his own head. There were all kinds of elixir pills, divine herbs, and divine wood. The harvest of treasures this time was terrifying. The countless experts of the three major races, the accumulation of their god kingdoms, and the treasures they had stored were mostly obtained by the Dragon Palace. One could imagine how huge the number was. This time, it's easy for me to improve, and the 5 elements grind can also improve. Wang Xian looked at the large number of treasures and murmured. He hesitated for a while and decided to improve first before checking out the treasures here. He moved and immediately transformed into his divine dragon body. With a wave of his arm, the 5 elements grind appeared beside him. The 5 elements grind began to devour the acquired treasures one by one. Roar, roar. Wang Xian let out a low roar, and all the elixir pills around him flew into his mouth. As soon as the pill entered his mouth, it turned into dense dragon energy. He stayed in the Dragon King Hall below and quickly improved. Ka ka ka. Horrifying dragon energy began to rise from Wang Xian's body. On his dragon scales, the silhouettes of divine dragons flickered. Buzz. Ding. Congratulations to the host for leveling up and breaking through to the Third Order Universe Venerable. Ding. Congratulations to the host for breaking through. You have comprehended the law of Dharma form. Towering Dragon Horn. 2 days later, the voice of the system sounded. Wang Xian's aura had also reached its peak. 8 dazzling lights filled the entire Dragon King Palace. Wang Xian opened his eyes slowly and breathed out an 8-colored mass of air from his mouth. He revealed a faint smile on his face. Name: Wang Xian race. Yin Yang 5 elements dragon, 1 with the dragon, level. Universe Venerable level 3, Divine Dragon Transformation 9th Transformation, Origin. 1%, 99% required for next breakthrough, Magic. Dominate the aquatic creatures, dominate any aquatic creatures lower than your own level, devour living things to extract the source. Cultivation Technique. Divine Dragon Transformation Magic. Soul Assimilation, Spiritual Attachment Magic. Dragon Eye Lock, 5 elements. Dragon Claw, Yin Yang World Breaker. 8 Luminaries Dragon Scale, Saint Dragon Dragon Shadow. 8 Divisions of the Heavenly Dragon, Dragon Tomb. Soaring Cloud Dragon, True Dragon Body Law of Dharma Form. 8 Direction Dragon Pillar. 8 Dragon Clone. Towering Dragon Horn Mastery of Laws. Metal, Wood, Water, Fire, Earth, Light, Dark, Wind God Nation. Dragon Palace Possession of Dragon Palace. Acquired Dragon Palace members. 1934450 Inch Universe Venerable Level 3. Universe Venerable Level 9 Combat. Power. Wang Xian revealed a smile. His current strength was not weak in the universe. Let's see if there are any treasures that can enhance my strength. He swept his gaze across the entire Dragon King Palace. With a wave of his dragon claws, 3 items flew to his side. These 3 treasures exuded a strange energy that was even more mystical and powerful than acquired treasures. One was the silvery white metal from the Iron and Steel Union. The other was a green fruit. However, it did not look like a fruit either. That fruit would make thumping sounds like a heart. Other than these 2 items, there was a blood-red cloth strip. The cloth strip contained a terrifying bloodthirsty energy. If the weak were to get close to it, they would go crazy. These 3 treasures are weirder than the other. What are they used for? Wang Xian mumbled to himself. These treasures were not inborn spiritual treasures. They were just unique treasures. Wang Xian did not even know what they were used for. Let Enchantress take a look at this blood-red cloth strip. As he spoke, he immediately sent a voice transmission to Enchantress. Enchantress was the current leader of the Enchantress. Her full name was Ao Enchantress. Enchantress controlled the black spider lilies, as well as the mysterious dark energy. Dragon King. Soon, Enchantress flew over and greeted Wang Xian. Take a look at what this treasure is. Wang Xian passed the blood-red cloth strip to her and said, Huh. Enchantress took it over and checked it. Her eyes sparkled. It looks like a treasure of the Netherworld clan. Enchantress guessed. However, I still need to study its specific uses. In that case, you can take this first, Wang Xian said to her. Enchantress nodded. What's the use of this silvery white metal? Wang Xian looked at the metal in the crystal box and his eyes sparkled. He opened it. The metal did not corrode and did not have any offensive power. Similarly, the metal seemed to have a life of its own as it kept moving. Wang Xian felt it with his hands and realized he could control it. Wang. With a thought, the silvery white metal changed into various forms. Gradually, it turned into a silvery white glove. Wang Xian put it on and held it in his hands. He squinted his eyes. He discovered a special characteristic of this metal: isolation. When he wore this glove on his dragon claws, the energy from the outside world seemed to be completely isolated. It did not come into contact with any energy from the outside world. If this is all it has, it'll be too weak. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. Isolating all energy from the outside world was equivalent to a powerful treasure to deal with curses. However, there were too many limitations, and it was not very useful. After putting it aside, Wang Xian's eyes landed on the green fruit. It was a very strange fruit that exuded a surging wood attribute as though it was alive. Let's give it a try. Wang Xian was looking forward to treasures related to plants. With the progenitor tree, he could easily detect any wood attribute treasures. He transformed into his human form and came to the front of the progenitor tree. He placed the fruit on the trunk of the progenitor tree. Wang. At this time, to Wang Xian's surprise, the green fruit landed on the progenitor tree. Immediately after, a message appeared in his mind. Chapter 3354. Spirit Support Spirit. Unborn. When the green fruit hung on the trunk of the progenitor tree, a message was sent to Wang Xian's mind. He was taken aback when he saw the message. Spirit? This fruit is a spirit? He opened his mouth slightly and his face was filled with shock. The spirit race was one of the top races in the universe. The ancient pool Moonlight Bay was a treasure belonging to the spirit race. Compared to the ancient pool Moonlight Bay, the spirit race was undoubtedly a precious treasure. There were two types of birth of spirits. One was maternal birth, and the other was nurtured by the tree of life. Compared to maternal birth, the spirit race nurtured by the tree of life belonged to the aristocracy of the spirit race. The tree of life belonged to the inborn treasure of the spirit race and was known as the treasure closest to the heavenly yuan creation level. The tree of life of the spirit race could not only nurture powerful spirits, but it also had other mystical abilities. According to the records of the Dragon Palace, the spirit race was one of the few existences above the dominator level in the universe. That was the heavenly yuan creation level of the wood element, one of the strongest in the universe. The spirit race had cultivated the wood element to the pinnacle. What surprised Wang Xian was that he had obtained a support spirit. The spirit race had combat abilities and support abilities. There were very few support elites. Usually, only the royal family of the spirit race had them. Ordinary sacred trees could not nurture spirits. But the progenitor tree was different. Moreover, the spirits nurtured by the progenitor tree had more potential than the elites nurtured by the tree of life. They were even more mystical. Support spirits are also known as companion spirits. Every support spirit has powerful abilities. I wonder how strong they will be. Wang Xian murmured. Thump, thump, thump. At this moment, he felt his heart tremble. He sensed something and some blood flowed into the progenitor tree. Soon after, the blood flowed into the support spirit. Wang Xian's eyes flickered and he smiled. After looking at it for a while, he looked at the other treasures. There were many kinds of acquired spiritual treasures and many acquired supreme treasures. Wang Xian placed the Tai Chi dragon plate on the two dark attribute acquired supreme treasures for them to absorb. He checked again, and there were no treasures that caught his attention. In the Dragon Palace, the rest of the Dragon Palace disciples were enhancing their strength in the dragon transformation pool. The devouring dragon devoured a large amount of metal. After the devourer dragon devoured the various battleships and spaceships of the Iron and Steel Union, they would be greatly improved. This time, Wang Xian was prepared to settle down at the border of chaotic continent. At the very least, he had to gain a better understanding of the great desolate continent before proceeding with his next development. Time passed day by day. This time, it took 2 months for all the members of Dragon Palace to improve. 2 months later, the last batch of disciples had been promoted. From then on, the 1.9 million members of the Dragon Palace all possessed the battle prowess of a universe venerable. Other than Wang Xian, Ao Xie, and the other 4 Tier 9 universe supremacies, Sky Array Little Blue, 8 Chi, and the other 2 devouring dragons had also advanced to the universe venerable level 9. The rest of the leaders and purebred divine dragons possessed the combat power of a universe venerable level 8. The number of Dragon Palace Universe venerable rank 9 members had reached 10. 2 months later, the 5 Elements Grindstone underwent another transformation, and its strength rose by another level. After all the members of Dragon Palace had been promoted, Prime Minister Turtle ordered a group of civil servants to teach the members of Dragon Palace various knowledge. During this period of time, other races and forces from the chaotic continent would come to visit the Dragon Palace every day, presenting valuable treasures. There were even a few powerful races and forces who took out many treasures to purchase the Grotto Heavens occupied by the Iron and Steel Union, the Wrapped Corpse Clan, and the Lich Kingdom from the Dragon Palace. These resources allowed the Dragon Palace to have 2 more universe venerable rank 9 experts. Other Grotto Heavens aside, the Grotto Heavens of the Iron and Steel Union were definitely very powerful. To the Dragon Palace, this was a complete surprise. 5 years passed quickly. During these 5 years, Wang Xian had been staying in the Dragon Palace and playing with the girls. He didn't find it boring at all. Xiaoxian, look, the elf is about to be born. On this day, Hu Yin-er's voice was heard. Huh. Wang Xian, who was in front of the Dragon Palace, was slightly taken aback. His figure instantly appeared in the Dragon King Hall. The support elf that he had obtained previously had been incubating on the progenitor tree for 5 years. During these 5 years, she would occasionally suck some of Wang Xian's dragon blood. Gradually, she transformed from a fruit into a human form. However, the size of the support elf did not change at all. She was still the size of 2 fists. She had the appearance of a little elf girl. She wore a fiery red dress and a purple hat on her head. She was also holding a grayish branch in her hand. At the head of the branch, there was a flame of a fire phoenix. It looked slightly mystical. In addition, she had wings made of leaves and looked very cute. However, today, the little elf opened her eyes and looked around curiously. Daddy! When she saw Wang Xian, her eyes lit up. Caw. At the back, the part that was connected to the progenitor tree was broken. She flapped her wings and flew towards Wang Xian. Huh. Wang Xian smiled when he saw the palm-sized elf calling him daddy. You're so cute. I'll call you Wang Lingling from now on. Wang Xian looked at her, stretched out his palm, and let her land on it. He said with a smile, Great. Wang Lingling waved the magic wand in her hand happily. Wow, she's so cute. Come, let mommy take a look. The group of girls who were attracted surrounded Wang Xian with glowing eyes. Daddy, why do I have so many mommies? Wang Lingling looked at the surrounding girls and asked curiously. Because your dad is a scumbag. Guan Shuqing and the rest chuckled. What's a scumbag? Wang Lingling continued to ask curiously. Come over. Let mommy explain it to you. The group of girls extended their palms with adoration. The group of girls was not young in terms of their age on Earth. Hence, they also wanted a child. However, it would take a long time for a divine dragon to have a child. Moreover, the purer the bloodline of the parents, the stronger they would be. Hence, the little divine dragon that was born would also be stronger. After much hesitation, they decided not to have a child for the time being. Now that they saw such an adorable little elf, the group of girls decided to raise her like a child. Enlightenment education is very important. You can't teach her indiscriminately. Wang Xian was speechless as he spoke to them. Chapter 3355. The appearance of the support spirits made the Dragon Palace livelier. The girls, Hua-er, Kai-er, Xiaoyu, and the rest were also very fond of this newly born little spirit. However, Wang Lingling, who was nurtured by the progenitor tree, possessed terrifying abilities. As the name suggested, she was a combat support type spirit. Their main role was to release enhancement energy, heal injuries, and even slow down the opponent to carry out some interference. As for the support spirits nurtured by the progenitor tree, they currently possessed 5 abilities, one of which was incredible. The first ability was healing. It was a powerful healing technique that was comparable to injecting the vitality fluid directly into the body. The second ability was the power of thunder, which could accelerate and paralyze the enemy. The third ability was the fire attribute damage immunity, which could help the target of her support to be immune to a portion of the damage. The fourth ability was the mental interference, which could interfere with the enemy and protect the support from mysterious attacks. The last ability, which was also the strongest, was resurrection. It was a very heaven-defying ability. If Wang Xian was killed, Wang Lingling could resurrect him instantly. All these abilities came from the branches of the progenitor tree. The resurrection ability came from the soul returning wood branch. Wang Lingling and the other support spirits had another powerful ability. The other support spirits would not die no matter how they were attacked. As long as the progenitor tree existed, they would exist forever. It was the same for Wang Lingling. As long as the progenitor tree existed, she would not die. There's a reason why the spirit race can stand at the pinnacle. After witnessing the power of the support spirits, Wang Xian could not help but sigh. Time passed day by day. 5 years later, all the members of the Dragon Palace started to move around the Dragon Palace after catching up on various knowledge. The Dragon Palace was now located at the corner of the sea. As the corner of the mountain and sea, the corner of the largest ocean in the chaotic continent, there were countless types of wild beasts. Even where they were, they could still encounter some rank 7 and rank 8 universe venerables. The Dragon Palace also had to send some experts to clean up these wild beasts. In the blink of an eye, it had been 10 years since the Dragon Palace stepped into the chaotic continent. In these 10 years, Wang Xian and the rest had also gone to other races to have some fun. It was quite relaxing. The only problem was that the competition at the border of the chaotic continent was too intense. Many places were the territories of some wild beasts. The law of the jungle was displayed to the fullest. It felt as if they were in a primitive world, where each faction occupied a piece of the world. The border powers of the great desolate continent are like barbaric tribes. They are completely different from the inner regions of the great desolate continent. Wang Xian searched for some information regarding the interior of the chaotic continent. If one were to say that this place was a backward ancient village, then further in would be a city-state, a country. Interestingly, the location at the periphery was very important to a race and bloodline, but the inner regions were not so important. Although it was still the case of a single race dominating a region, this race was also willing to absorb experts and elites from other races. Compared to the periphery, the internal department valued a person's strength more. Strength is king. In the depths of the great desolate continent, many of those who could step into it were experts who could surpass 2 or 3 ranks. In this place, geniuses moved unhindered and experts soared through the sky. If a force wanted to prosper for a long time, it needed a steady stream of experts. Those peak-level races were still fine. They had their core treasures and an endless stream of experts. Basically, there would be no shortage of them. As for the other forces, they did not have the ability of the peak-level races. Gradually, they were willing to accept other experts to join them. There were even some races who, in order to give birth to new powerful bloodlines, would marry other powerful bloodline forces. After countless years, this caused the various races to be inextricably linked. This also caused the internal competition and war between races to be much less than at the periphery. Of course, there was another reason. Those who could enter the internal department were not simple. Without the confidence of annihilating them all, they would not send an army over and kill wantonly, because this would cause the latter to take revenge. A level 9 venerable, madly killing your race's level 1 and level 2 venerables. Which race would be able to take that? Cities, countries, schools, sects, trade associations. The interior of the chaotic continent is more like a civilized society. Wang Xian looked through the information and smiled. When things reached an extreme, they would move in the opposite direction. 100 schools of thought contending. The chaotic continent was more like a flourishing planet that had developed to its peak. It was not like the periphery, where various races fought for resources, like ancient tribes. The internal department of the chaotic continent was not only fighting for ordinary resources, but also talents and experts. It was impossible for all members of a race to be united, to have no disagreements, and to not encounter injustice. If you encountered injustice, you could leave your race and join some cities, countries, schools, or even sections. Many city-states, countries, schools, and sects were established by experts who left their own races due to injustice or other reasons. Over time, they also grew stronger. In such a place, the consciousness of some experts also weakened, and it became a bustling place for trading. Of course, there were also races that established their own schools, attracting disciples from other races to join, brainwashing them for their own use. The internal department of the chaotic continent was more prosperous and prosperous. Not bad. This is much better than being at the periphery, Wang Xian murmured. At the periphery, without strong strength, there was a high possibility of being killed if one went out. In the interior, there were rules and restrictions, and the safety was increased a lot. I've been here for 10 years. It's time to go out and take a look. I'll look for the remaining lightning feathers and investigate the internal situation. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne and planned. He had read through a lot of information about the internal department of the chaotic continent, but he still had to find out more himself. Moreover, he had to get his hands on the last 27 lightning feathers of the unbeginning Saint Wings. Prime Minister Turtle, I'm going out for a walk in a few days. I'll leave the matters of the Dragon Palace to you. Wang Xian ordered Prime Minister Turtle. Since he was prepared, he would act immediately. The stage of the chaotic continent was the internal department of the chaotic continent. The number of experts, resources, and treasures there was far from what this side could compare to. Most importantly, it was prosperous enough, and there were many experts there. The most dazzling place in the universe. The top. Chapter 3356. The Corner of the Sea was the name of the region where the Dragon Palace was located. Extending all the way to the corner of the sea, one would arrive at the real sea of mountains and seas. Wang Xian didn't know much about this part of the sea, nor had he ventured deep into it. But today, Wang Xian began his journey. Daddy, I'm hungry. I want to eat seafood. In the depths of the sea, a figure was moving rapidly. On his head, a fist-sized little girl was flapping her wings and making sweet noises. Sure, here's the seafood. The big and small figure was naturally Wang Xian. He took out a piece of meat and handed it to the little girl. Hee. The little girl hugged it immediately and ate it with her mouth wide open. The little girl, Wang Lingling, was nurtured by the progenitor tree in Wang Xian's body. She grew by feeding on Wang Xian's blood. She couldn't be too far away from him. Similarly, the little girl's strength was closely related to Wang Xian. The advantage of being a half-living elf was having a strong assistant. The disadvantage was that he had to constantly feed her with his own energy, which would result in him needing more energy for his cultivation. However, feeding a little girl was nothing to Wang Xian. It might take a year or two to travel through the ocean this time. Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he watched her eating and looking at the map. He had already set off for 3 days. After bidding farewell to the girls and giving instructions to the Dragon Palace, he entered the vast sea. The corner of the sea was located at the edge of the continent, but there was still a long way to go. Given Wang Xian's current speed, it would still take 1 to 2 years. Wang Xian's speed wasn't slow at all. It was comparable to a pinnacle universe venerable. Let's go. The little girl sat on Wang Xian's head and pointed ahead with her little finger. Wang Xian smiled and disappeared in an instant. With the little girl around, the journey wasn't boring. There were many powerful beasts in the sea where the wild beasts lived. Wang Xian had encountered Universe Venerable Level 9, Desolate Beasts, and even Pinnacle Universe Venerable Level Desolate Beasts. Given his speed and strength, he could easily kill Rank 9 beasts. But for Pinnacle Universe Venerable Beasts, he could only escape. Wang Xian's target this time was the Thunder Light Race. The Thunder Light Race wasn't close to the Dragon Palace. If he flew in a straight line, it might take more than 10 years. However, the good thing was that as long as one reached the interior of the continent, there would be a large number of teleportation formations that one could use to rush over. Now that Wang Xian was a Level 3 Universe Supremacy, he could directly rule over aquatic wild beasts below Level 3. After traveling in the ocean for half a year, he managed to rule over tens of thousands of Universe Venerable Level 1 and Level 2 Desolate Beasts, bringing a considerable amount of resources to the Dragon Palace. Boom, boom, boom. A year after Wang Xian traversed the ocean, a series of roars came from above. Wang Lingling, who was sleeping on top of Wang Xian's head, opened her eyes and looked up. Huh, did I bump into someone? At this moment, Wang Xian was pleasantly surprised as he squinted his eyes. On the surface of the sea, a ship exuding powerful energy was in front of a deserted island on the sea. On the deserted island, there was a desolate beast with more than 10 heads that looked like a giant snake. It raised its head. Its body was over 100,000 meters in size. Streams of dark green venom sprayed out in all directions. There was no lack of experts on the dozen or so ships in the capital city. The two sides clashed together, causing terrifying explosions. Dad, there's a fight going on, Wang Lingling exclaimed in shock. Let's go and take a look. Wang Xian made a move and flew upwards. Splash! After emerging from the surface of the sea, he scanned the battlefield with his dragon eyes. There were thousands of humans on the ships. The strongest had the combat power of a level 9 universe supremacy, while the weakest had the strength of a level 3 universe supremacy. And the wild beast they were attacking had the combat power of a level 9 universe supremacy. Quick, be careful of the venom of the muscular head snake. Those who are weak, retreat out of its attack range. Attack one of its heads with all your might. Kill one first. Loud shouts came from the front. One by one, the ships put up their defensive shields and retreated to the back. This muscular head snake is very strong. 3 level 9 universe supremacy experts couldn't suppress it. It must have a powerful bloodline. Wang Xian looked over and his eyes sparkled. However, this also allowed him to witness the experts of the chaotic continent. Before he reached there, he had already encountered 3 level 9 universe supremacy experts. Splash! At this time, the muscular head snake suddenly raised 7 to 8 heads and endless waves surged behind it. The waves rose into the air and gradually turned dark green as they surged over. In an instant, dark green rain started to fall from the sky. TSK, TSK, TSK. The dark green rain fell on the surface of the sea and produced a terrifying corrosive sound. Even the seawater was corroded. The Tai Chi dragon plate on Wang Xian flashed and easily blocked the dark green rain. Be careful. All ships spread out and retreat further away. This muscular head snake is much stronger than we thought. An old man shouted at the front, Judgment of heaven and earth. At the side, a middle-aged man who looked like a scholar wrote a golden word kill in the void with a black brush. The word kill was directed at the muscular head snake. This attack is a little special. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly when he saw this attack. Retreat quickly. At this time, a ship retreated towards where Wang Xian was. Wang Xian looked over and did not avoid it. He stood on the water surface. There's someone here? On the ship, a middle-aged man noticed Wang Xian on the surface of the sea and was surprised. Brother in front, we are from Haotian City. The middle-aged man immediately introduced himself and looked around to see if there were any companions of Wang Xian around. I was passing by and saw that there was a battle over here. Hence, I came to check it out. I didn't mean to offend you, Wang Xian replied immediately when he saw the other party introducing himself. Splash. At this time, Wang Xian saw a humongous tail sweeping towards him from the sea ahead. The tail should have been formed by the law of water, but it contained horrifying power. There's an attack under the sea. Abandon ship and escape to the sky. An old man on the ship ahead shouted sternly. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment when he saw this. He extended his palm slowly and a dragon claw formed by the law of water attacked the tail. Boom! A dull collision sound came from the bottom of the sea, and the sea was tumbling. However, the tail was crushed by Wang Xian's attack. Chapter 3357. Rumble. A dull, loud sound was heard. The tail that was attacking Wang Xian was defeated with a single move. What? That young man is an expert. He's so strong. In front of them, the people on the ship were shocked when they saw that the attack from the muscular head snake was broken. They looked at Wang Xian with astonishment in their eyes. Oh no, This guy is quite strong. It's hard to kill him. We've underestimated his strength." At this moment, the forehead of the middle-aged man who was holding a black brush and continuously writing the word "kill" in the air was covered with cold sweat as he roared with an ugly expression. "Damn it, if we can't kill him this time, we won't have a chance anymore." An old man not far away had tens of thousands of sharp swords flying behind him. The sword in the middle was even sharper and was at least an acquired cardinal treasure. The 3 rank 9 universe venerables had extraordinary strength, but they still couldn't do anything to the muscular head snake. "Sir, are you interested in taking action? I'll give you a share of the spoils of war." On the ship, the people's expressions changed when they saw the 3 of them couldn't do anything to the muscular head snake. An old man hesitated for a moment before he looked at Wang Xian and spoke. "Oh, other than its corpse, what other treasures does the muscular head snake have? Moreover, it's not easy to kill such a powerful wild beast." Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and asked. In the ocean, he had also encountered no less than 10 rank 9 universe venerables. However, only one of them died in his hands. That one was taken by surprise, and he was lucky enough to kill it. The rest escaped back to their own holy kingdoms. It was already difficult to kill Wang Xian with his speed. The muscular head snake in front of him would be even more difficult to kill. Even if he took action, he couldn't stop it from escaping. "Sir, the lair of this muscular head serpent is on that deserted island. In addition, the 13 heads of this muscular head serpent can be forged into a postnatal treasure. Its blood can also be used to create powerful talismans." The old man continued, "If you're willing to take action, the 3 of us will definitely pay a hefty price for revenge." "Is the lair here?" Wang Xian's eyes lit up when he heard the old man's words. "Sure." Wang Xian moved. He stretched out his arm and condensed a grayish dragon claw. Then, he attacked the muscular head snake. He attacked partly for the sake of the muscle-head snake, and partly for the sake of this group of people. He had been shuttling in the ocean for more than a year. Now that he had finally infiltrated the humans, he naturally had to find out some information. He wanted to familiarize himself with the interior of the great desolate continent. "Brother, thank you for your help. Let's join forces and kill this bastard." At the front, the 3 experts from Haotian City had already received a telepathic message from their subordinates the moment Wang Xian struck. Their gazes swept over, and they looked somewhat excited. "You guys hold back part of its head. I'll kill the rest." Wang Xian's dragon claw struck forward and was crushed by the 2 snake heads. He squinted his eyes and shouted softly, All right." The 3 people from Clear Sky City were slightly stunned. After a moment of hesitation, they nodded. No matter what, they only needed to restrain the few snake heads that they could restrain. This did not affect their safety at all. Swoosh. The muscular head snake had 13 snake heads. The snake heads were its main means of attack. The 3 of them could restrain 9 of the snake heads. The next 4 were much easier for Wang Xian. The unbeginning saint wings flapped. His body turned into a shadow and appeared above one of the snake heads. SSS, SSS, SSS. The snake head sensed that Wang Xian was above it. It immediately opened its mouth and a water sword soared into the sky. Swoosh. Wang Xian's figure flickered and appeared in front of another snake head. Before the other snake head could react, Wang Xian's arm turned into a dragon claw and clawed at the bottom of the snake head. Swoosh. The terrifying force immediately made a circle on the snake head, and a large amount of blood splattered around. What a fast speed! When the 3 experts from Clear Sky City saw this, their pupils constricted slightly and they were shocked. Bam! SSS, SSS, SSS. One of the snake heads was chopped off by Wang Xian, and the other 3 snake heads attacked him simultaneously. These 3 snake heads were covered with protruding scales. They were like dazzling crystals and extremely sharp. Humph! Wang Xian snorted. He moved and instantly escaped the attack range of the snake heads. Swish! In the next moment, Wang Xian's doppelgangers appeared around him. There were thousands of doppelgangers, and they attacked the 3 snake heads. SSS, SSS, SSS. The 3 snake heads opened their mouths and spat out green poisonous fog. Soaring cloud mist. Wang Xian murmured. The cloud mist shrouded the snake heads instantly. He ignored the poisonous fog and landed directly on one of the snake heads. Ka-ka! The terrifying dragon claw tore his head apart. Bam bam bam! The other two snake heads immediately came to support, but Wang Xian dodged them easily. In the cloud mist, the speed of the snake head was not even 1/10 of Wang Xian's. Soon, the other two snake heads were severely injured. SSS, SSS, SSS. The other 9 snake heads felt the pain and raised their heads to let out a violent roar. Finish off these 3. At this time, Wang Xian dashed out of the cloud mist and shouted at the middle-aged man holding the black brush. Awesome! The middle-aged man was amazed when he sensed Wang Xian severely injuring 4 snake heads in such a short time. Prison drawing. Trap. He let out a low roar and waved his arm. A picture was drawn to trap 2 of the snake heads. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, countless green threads appeared around the 2 snakeheads, entangling them. Great! Wang Xian's eyes lit up when he saw this. The dragon claw landed on the snakeheads. The powerful attack severely injured the 2 snakeheads again. The other snakehead waved his arm and a dragon tomb was thrown at it. Ha ha ha! Great! Thank you, brother. Kill! The other 2 experts roared excitedly. The following battle was simple. With Wang Xian's attack, the snakeheads were killed quickly. Holy judgment! As the middle-aged man drew characters in the air with his brush, a ray of holy judgment landed on the snake head and killed it completely. Awesome! The middle-aged man's attack method is similar to the sorcerer's array formation. However, it shouldn't be the same system. Wang Xian looked over and his eyes sparkled. Ha ha ha! I'm Scholar Fong Wan from Haotian City. Thank you for your help. After the snakehead was killed, the middle-aged man cupped his hands at Wang Xian and thanked him. Apex. Chapter 3358. Everyone is a Dragon. Chapter 3364. Everyone is a Dragon. I'm Dongwen Shan from Haotian City. Thank you for your help. I'm Hao Kong Yin from Haotian City. Thank you for your help. The other 2 old men flew over and cupped their fists at Wang Xian with smiles on their faces. Wang Xian cupped his fists at them. You're welcome. I was just passing by. Are you from the ancestral dragon lineage? Your attack is similar to the ancestral dragon lineage. Fangwen Scholar asked Wang Xian curiously. Ancestral dragon lineage? Wang Xian was taken aback. Subsequently, he shook his head and asked doubtfully, no? Is the ancestral dragon lineage in this region? Yes and no. Experts from the ancestral dragon lineage are roaming around now. I only noticed that your attack is similar to a divine dragon's. Fangwen Scholar said with a smile. Brother Wang Xian, without your help, we wouldn't have been able to kill the muscular head snake. How about you take half of the resources from the muscular head snake? The old man called Dongwen Shan said to Wang Xian. Sure. Wang Xian nodded his head. Getting half of the spoils of war was already quite a lot. We'll get our men to deal with the corpse. Where are you heading to? Fangwen Scholar continued to ask Wang Xian. Roaming around. I'm preparing to settle some matters with the lightning race. Wang Xian smiled and replied. Oh, the lightning race is still a long way from here. Brother Wang Xian, you can use the teleportation formation in Haotian City to travel there. Fangwen Scholar said. Sure. Wang Xian nodded. Haha, great. Brother Wang Xian, please board the ship. Fangwen Scholar invited him. Wang Xian didn't reject him. He followed beside him and flew to the ship. Fangwen Scholar, your attack technique is a little unique. What is it? Wang Xian asked hesitantly when they arrived at a hall on the ship. Attack technique? This is the cultivation method of the sages. The sage's cultivation method is similar to the sorcerer's formation method, but there are some differences. The Heaven Unite sage once said that everyone in the world can become a sage. I hope that one day, I can reach that step and die without regrets. Fangwen Scholar said with flickering eyes. Heavenly Fusion Sage. Wang Xian murmured. The Heavenly Fusion Sage was the strongest existence among the sages, and was also one of the invincible experts in the universe. Haha, the person I respect the most in my life is the Heavenly Unity Sage, and the person I admire the most is the leader of the ancestral dragon bloodline. Scholar Fong once said with a laugh. The leader of the ancestral dragon bloodline? Wang Xian murmured. Brother Wang Xian, how long have you been in seclusion? Scholar Fang Wen saw his confused expression and said with a smile, the leader of the ancestral dragon bloodline is also a hero of his generation. He said that everyone can be like a dragon and all living things can be like dragons. If this leader can break through to the universe ruler realm, then the divine dragon bloodline might really be able to reach the peak under his leadership. Everyone can be a dragon, and all living things can be dragons. Upon hearing these words, Wang Xian was slightly shocked. Brother Wang Xian, this is half of the resources of the muscular head snake. You can check it out. Not long after, Hao Kongyin walked over and handed him a spatial ring. All right. Wang Xian took it over and checked it before nodding his head. Come, Brother Wang Xian. This is the good wine of our Haotian city and some delicacies. Let's go to the deck and have a drink. Scholar Fong when gestured to Wang Xian after settling the resources of the muscular head snake. All right. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. As a newcomer, Wang Xian had a lot of things to understand. The ship sailed towards the Haotian city. Haotian city was a city near the ocean. This city was built by an expert of the sage bloodline. That expert had the strength of a pinnacle universe supremacy. Now that he had fallen, his descendants and disciples were in charge of this city. The sage bloodline belonged to the pinnacle race in the universe. The body of a sage and the techniques of a sage were the reasons why they could stand at the pinnacle of the universe. From Scholar Fong 1, Wang Xian obtained a lot of information that he couldn't get from the artificial intelligence system. For example, the specific situation of the sage bloodline. The sage bloodline usually passed down from generation to generation in the form of a master and disciple. They didn't have high restrictions on their disciples. Many of the sage bloodline even left the sage bloodline after the death of their master. This also resulted in the disciples of the sage bloodline being scattered all over the chaotic continent. Other than the sage bloodline, Wang Xian also inquired about the divine dragon bloodline, the ancestral dragon bloodline, and the sacred dragon bloodline. The current leader of the ancestral dragon bloodline had already reached the pinnacle universe supremacy realm. He even had the battle record of killing a universe lord. He had endless potential. However, he hadn't been able to take the final step to the universe lord realm for a long time. This led the ancestral dragon leader to issue an order for all the disciples of the ancestral dragon bloodline to travel and train. One day, when a member of the divine dragon bloodline could step into the universe lord realm, all the disciples of the ancestral dragon bloodline would return and rebuild the glory of the divine dragon bloodline. When Wang Xian received this news, he was slightly shocked. As long as the ancestral dragon bloodline didn't have a universe lord realm, the disciples of the ancestral dragon wouldn't return. This was equivalent to breaking up a complete force just to pursue the pinnacle. This ancestral dragon is really bold, Wang Xian murmured. He was very respectful of the ancestral dragon bloodline. If one didn't reach the pinnacle, it would be useless. What surprised Wang Xian was that within the ancestral dragon bloodline, there were more than 200 purebred divine dragons. This was mainly the accumulation of hundreds of millions of years of development. The purebred divine dragons married and gave birth to purebred divine dragons. Although 200 was not a small number, it was incomparable to the peak of the divine dragon clan. In the pinnacle of the divine dragon clan, there were hundreds of thousands of purebred divine dragons. Currently, the divine dragon clan is mainly led by the radiant divine dragon. All of them have joined the angel clan. It is said that the divine dragon king is the mount of one of the sons of the angel father. Scholar Fangwen shared some of the information he knew to Wang Xian. When he received this news, he had mixed feelings. In order to rebuild the glory of the divine dragon clan, there was a senior of the divine dragon clan who dispersed the entire clan. They would not return until they reached the universe lord realm. There were also divine dragon experts who joined the pinnacle clans in the universe and became their divine beasts. Two completely different choices, two completely different paths. Everyone should be like a dragon. All living creatures can become dragons. If there's a chance, I must have a drink with the ancestral dragon leader. Wang Xian thought to himself as he revealed a smile. Raising his wine cup, he toasted Scholar Fong and the others in front of him and downed it in one gulp. Chapter 3359. Haoyan City was a city near the ocean. The entire city was guarded by 5 rank 9 universe venerables. In the surrounding area, Haoyan City still had a lot of prestige. The entire city was huge. Other than humans, there were also other living creatures. We're here. Brother Wang Xian, do you want to stay in Haoyan City for a while? After traveling on the ocean for half a year, the ship docked at the edge of the coast. In front of them was the vast Haoyan City. Nah, I'll head to the Thunder Light tribe directly. Thank you, Brother Fangwen and everyone, for your hospitality for the past half a year. 8 months later, Wang Xian arrived at Haoyan City on the ship and cupped his hands in gratitude. Haha, Brother Wang Xian, let me bring you to the teleportation formation. Scholar Fangwen led Wang Xian towards Haoyan City. Goodbye, Brother Fangwen. Wang Xian cupped his hands in greeting and smiled as he arrived at the teleportation formation. Have a safe journey. Scholar Fangwen waved at him. Wang. The teleportation formation was activated and Wang Xian disappeared. When he appeared again, he was already in another city. This was a gloomy city surrounded by skeletons. Wang Xian did not linger and teleported to the next city. The Thunder Light tribe was very far from here. It would take at least a decade to fly. Even if he used the teleportation formation to transit, it would still take a few days. He quickly made his way from one city to another. 3 days later, he arrived at a city and squinted his eyes. This was a technologically advanced city that was full of fantasy. All kinds of spaceships were flying in the sky. There were more than a dozen huge purple buildings in the entire city that reached the clouds. Among the clouds, there were thunderbolts that struck the city to maintain the energy of the entire city. Welcome to Sky Thunder City. We have automatically formed a temporary identity for you. Please abide by the rules of Sky Thunder City. Otherwise, you will be punished by Sky Thunder City. A mechanical voice was heard. Wang Xian looked around and walked straight ahead. Sky Thunder City, the nearest city to the Thunder Light tribe. The population of the entire Sky Thunder City is about 300 million. Wang Xian headed straight for the exit. His target this time was this place. The Thunder Ray race wasn't very far from this city, which had been built by a peak cosmos supremacy. Although the city was a technological city, the people living in it did not follow the technological route. Instead, it was all sorts of cultivators. Among them, most of them were lightning attribute cultivators. This was because the sky above the Sky Thunder City was densely covered with thunderclouds. This was a special domain. The thunderclouds covered an extremely large area. In the sky above, each cloud contained a terrifying power of lightning. The Thunder Light race was born in these thunderclouds and established a powerful race. The Thunder Ray race did not have a large population. They had about 10 billion disciples and were not weak at all. Wang Xian walked out of the teleportation formation and scanned his surroundings as he walked around the city. When he saw a flying car for sightseeing around the city, he spent some city coins to ride on it. There were many humans, demonic beasts, and other creatures on the bus. There was a type of creature that had a sharp purple nose and a pair of purple wings on its back. They were the disciples of the Thunder Ray race. The entire Sky Thunder City was huge. There were all sorts of things, even academies. The Sky Thunder City did not belong to any race and was a neutral force. They were not weak. The city lord had the strength of a peak cosmos supremacy. Even if the experts of the Thunder Ray race came here, they would have to abide by the rules. After touring the city, Wang Xian took out the universe AI to search for some information. The Great Elder of the Thunder Ray race was his target this time. The 27 lightning feathers of the unbeginning sacred wings were still with him. During the half a year on the ship, he had also gotten Scholar Fong Wansheng to confirm some information for him. After all, the lightning feathers of Laming had been snatched away tens of millions of years ago. After confirming, the Great Elder of the Thunder Ray race from tens of millions of years ago was still the Great Elder. However, Wang Xian did not know where exactly he was. First, I have to confirm the location of the Great Elder of the Thunder Ray race and confirm if the lightning feathers are still with him. Then, I have to snatch them away. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. Currently, Wang Xian's strength could easily suppress the great elder of the Thunder Ray race. However, it was still insufficient to face the entire Thunder Ray race. The Thunder Ray race had experts with the strength of a peak cosmos supremacy. With such a strong foundation, Wang Xian should not be a match for them. This is going to be troublesome. I have to find a disciple of the Thunder Ray race to find out more about the situation. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. With a move of his body, he immediately flew in the direction of the Thunder Ray race. After flying for more than 10 minutes and leaving the boundaries of the Sky Thunder City, Wang Xian looked up at the thunderclouds in the sky. In this region of thunderclouds, the lighting was slightly dim. From time to time, lightning would illuminate the entire starry sky. Within the dense thunderclouds, one's vision would be greatly affected. Moreover, there were also some wild beasts within the thunderclouds. The thunderclouds not only nurtured the powerful Thunder Ray race, but also other powerful wild beasts. It was especially so in the depths of the thunderclouds, where there were even more terrifying wild beasts. Some wild beasts could even threaten peak cosmos supremacy experts. As Wang Xian flew into the thunderclouds, he felt as though he had entered a huge and unfamiliar world. From time to time, lightning would suddenly appear in the surroundings. It was difficult for the weak to survive in such a place. Dragon eyes. Wang Xian's dragon eyes rotated as he scanned his surroundings and flew straight ahead. Crackle. While he was flying, terrifying lightning would erupt in the surroundings from time to time. Some lightning was strong while others were weak. At this moment, Wang Xian suddenly saw a lightning that seemed to be solid. When he saw this lightning, he was slightly stunned. With a swift move, he flew straight ahead. Grabbing the lightning in his hand, Wang Xian could feel a strong force of lightning coming from it. TSK, this is a treasure. An acquired spiritual treasure. How could I encounter one so easily? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and revealed a surprised look. He kept it and continued flying forward. Chirp, chirp, chirp. After flying for more than 10 days in the thunderclouds, Wang Xian suddenly heard the chirping of a bird from his right. The ear-piercing sound had a strong penetrating force. Wang Xian focused his gaze. This is the thundercloud condor. Wang Xian squinted his eyes. After more than 10 days without encountering any members of the Thunder Ray race, he had encountered a rare thundercloud condor. The thundercloud condor was one of the wild beasts that lived in the thunderclouds. It was an extremely rare wild beast with terrifying speed. Chapter 3360. This type of thundercloud vulture is perfect as a mount. Wang Xian stared at the thundercloud vulture that was flying at high speed on his right. He moved and disappeared instantly. In the next instant, he appeared in front of the thundercloud vulture and wrapped a chain around it. Chirp, chirp. The thundercloud vulture was unable to put up any resistance and was easily restrained by Wang Xian. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The thundercloud vulture was not very big. Its wingspan was only about 4 meters. It looked at Chu Xian with fear in its eyes. Over here, I can't hear the thundercloud vulture. Hurry up. At this moment, a voice came from the void behind him. Wang Xian looked back with the chain in his hand when he heard the voice. Behind him, 2 old men flew over. Their eyes flickered when they saw Wang Xian restraining the thundercloud vulture. Who are you? Do you know that this is the territory of the Thunderlight race? The 2 old men squinted their eyes and asked Wang Xian. Yes. Wang Xian looked at them with a smile. In the next instant, his figure disappeared. Oh no! Be careful! The 2 old men were shocked when they saw Wang Xian vanishing in an instant. They yelled immediately. Wang! Soul capture! However, a voice sounded in their minds at this moment. Both of them trembled slightly. I've finally met an expert from the Thunder Light race. Wang Xian smiled and mumbled. The 2 Thunder Light race disciples with level 7 venerables were under his control in an instant. Waves of information entered Wang Xian's mind. He squinted his eyes and looked through them bit by bit. After 10 minutes, Wang Xian opened his eyes. He hesitated for a moment before he waved his arm to erase the memories of the 2 and threw them to the ground below. Wang Xian didn't kill them because he didn't think they were bad people. He wouldn't kill the innocent if he had no feud with them. The great elder of the Thunder Light Race is in their lair. This is going to be troublesome, Wang Xian mumbled. According to the information he had received, the great elder of the Thunder Light Race was in charge of everything in the lair. In the absence of the patriarch of the Thunder Light Race, he would be the person in charge. The possibility of him sneaking in was zero. Furthermore, Luo Yunyang had learned from the two Thunder Ray Race disciples that the Thunder Ray Race had a total of 8 peak supremacies. Moreover, they specialized in speed. Wang Xian wouldn't even be a match for 2 or 3 of them. We have to find another way to get inside. Wang Xian stood there and pondered. This makes me feel like a thief. However, Lei Yu was originally snatched by the great elder of the Thunder Light tribe. I'm just snatching it back. Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he thought of an idea. From the memories of the 2 members of the Lightning Race, he had found a way to infiltrate the Lightning Race. 10 days later, the Thunder Light tribe would be recruiting disciples. As long as one was younger than 20 epochs and passed the test, one could join the Lightning Race. Epoch was the division of age in the primordial continent. Because there were many places in the Great Wilderness continent that didn't have day and night, the calculation of age was different from other places in the universe. 1 epoch represented 100,000 years, and 20 epochs represented 2 million years. There was no sun or moon in the Great Desolate Continent. Usually, an expert could spend 1,000,000 years in seclusion. As for the Great Wilderness Continent, 20 epochs could be as short as a snap of the fingers. It could be understood that 20 plus yuan was equivalent to 20 years for most living beings. In other words, it was the teenage years. Of course, this was just Wang Xian's own division. In fact, there were many old monsters who had lived for billions or even billions of years in the Great Wilderness Continent. However, 30 billion years was a limit. To live for more than 30 billion years, one had to possess the strength of heavenly Yuan creation realm. Moreover, 30 billion years was a cataclysm. Wang Xian's current age was basically the age of drinking milk in the Great Wilderness Continent. Naturally, this age limit had nothing to do with him. Age isn't a problem. However, it won't be easy to sneak in with my strength. Wang Xian pondered. With his current strength, even if he were to hide, the Lightning Race would still be able to detect him. Once he was discovered, he would definitely be surrounded and attacked. This is a treasure. After pondering for a few minutes, he moved his palm and took out a piece of silvery white metal. This piece of metal could isolate everything. While isolating himself from the outside world, it could also isolate him from the outside world. This was a very useless item. It was very powerful, but also very weak. He placed the piece of metal into his body. With a thought, the metal covered his entire body. Soon, from the outside world, Wang Xian's aura was rapidly decreasing. However, his body was gradually covered by lightning. Wang Xian now had 22 lightning feathers. He could still control the power of lightning. In addition, the silvery white metal could not isolate the power of his physical body. He used the silvery white metal to isolate the other 8 attributes in his body, leaving only the lightning attribute that he had yet to fully master. This caused his strength to be reduced to the combat strength of a rank 6 universe supremacy. He could also unleash all his strength. However, once he unleashed it, it would mean that his strength would be exposed. If he only used the lightning attribute, it would be impossible to detect it. This strength is still quite strong. However, even the silvery white metal can't conceal the strength of my physical body. So be it, a rank 6 universe supremacy. Wang Xian murmured. To possess the combat strength of a rank 6 universe supremacy in less than 20 eras from his birth, he would definitely be considered a top genius in the Great Wilderness Continent. Perhaps only the descendants of some races could achieve this. Ordinary cultivators would not be able to achieve this. However, he had no other choice. When the time came, he just had to get close to the great elder of the Thunder Race, get the lightning feathers, and escape. What a hassle! Wang Xian chuckled. With a move, he flew towards Sky Thunder City. The recruitment of disciples of the Thunder Race would be held in Sky Thunder City. All he had to do was to wait in Sky Thunder City. After flying back to Sky Thunder City, Wang Xian found a luxurious villa and rented it. If I want to act, I'll have to act more like it. I'll tame this thundercloud vulture. Lying in front of the swimming pool, Wang Xian summoned the thundercloud vulture and began taming it. Taming a rank 6 universe supremacy thundercloud vulture was a piece of cake for him. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Soon, the thundercloud vulture lay beside Wang Xian respectfully. This time, he would pretend to be a genius and blend into the thunder race. Hopefully, nothing would happen. Otherwise, he would have to change his method. Wang Xian thought to himself. His eyes flickered as he waited for the time to come. Chapter 3361. The recruitment of disciples by the Thunder Light Tribe was a grand event in this region. It was especially so for the living beings in the Thundercloud region. In this Thundercloud region, the strongest living beings were the Thundercloud Tribe, followed by the Sky Thunder City and the other cities. However, compared to the Thundercloud Tribe, the Sky Thunder City was still a far cry from them in terms of strength and inheritance. There were at least 50 to 60 billion living beings in the Thundercloud region. This was especially so because this region was very suitable for experts with lightning attributes to cultivate. Hence, many of them came here to cultivate. Every time the Thunder Light Tribe recruited disciples, many people would come here. After all, compared to freedom, there were many benefits to having a strong backing. Within the Sky Thunder City, there were also many residents who hoped that their children could join the Thunderlight Tribe. Hurry, it will start in 10 minutes. Let's hope I can pass the assessment this time. Previously, the minimum strength requirement was a 4th Order God Emperor. I wonder what the minimum strength requirement will be this time. This doesn't just depend on the minimum strength. It also depends on your bloodline and physique. Those who can't fight 2 levels higher than them will probably be eliminated. 10 days later, Wang Xian arrived at the selection venue of the Thunderlight Tribe. At this moment, there were already many people gathered in the surroundings. Some young men walked towards the huge venue in front. There were at least 10 million people in the entire square. Around the venue, there were all sorts of spaceships or experts hovering on treasures, waiting for their children to take the assessment. Wang Xian looked at the venue and saw a stone at the entrance. There were rings on the stone, making it look very mystical. You are older than 20 years. Get out now. At this moment, he saw a young man walking in. However, when he passed by the stone, the rings on the stone were glowing. A middle-aged man sitting at the side stared at the young man and warned him coldly. Sir, I was cultivating in seclusion and missed the previous disciple recruitment. I'm strong enough. The young man's expression changed drastically as he explained immediately. Get out. If you are older than the age and want to join the Thunderlight Tribe, go to the Thundercloud region. The middle-aged man continued coldly. This caused the young man's expression to change drastically. Seeing so many people staring at him, he left with his tail between his legs. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the area and walked straight in. No matter which race recruited disciples, not all experts were accepted. Compared to experts, they valued loyalty and potential more. This was also to prevent other forces from infiltrating their race. Recruiting young disciples could cultivate loyalty, and they could pass all kinds of tests to test their loyalty. However, if some older ones suddenly appeared and joined their race, they would basically not agree to it. Even if he agreed, he wouldn't give him an important position. When Wang Xian entered, the stone with growth rings did not react at all. Clearly, it had passed the test. He glanced around and smiled. With a single glance, the strongest among them was an 8th Order Void God Emperor. In fact, reaching the Void 8th Order God Emperor realm in less than 2 million years was already an amazing feat. This required a powerful bloodline or a powerful physique, as well as a powerful inheritance. If these people were placed in the continent encirclement starry sky, they would all be considered rare geniuses in billions of years. However, this place was different from the continent encirclement starry sky. Here, anyone could jump levels to fight. There were also many who could fight 2 levels higher than them. Even those who could fight 3 levels higher than them weren't that rare. After all, this was the center of the universe, the center of the chaotic continent. Many of the disciples from the peak races could fight 3 levels higher than them. Wang Xian stood in the field and waited quietly. Wang Wang Wang. Not long after, a dozen figures appeared in a teleportation array in front of the field. These figures had a pair of wings on their backs. Their noses were a little sharp, and they were about 2 meters tall. The arrival of a dozen experts from the Thunder Light Race shocked the field. The test is about to begin. There's no minimum requirement for this test. It's a comprehensive test of potential, understanding of the lightning attribute, and strength. The middle-aged man in the middle looked at all the participating disciples with a sharp gaze. This is an opportunity for us. We must succeed. Some of the participants were elated and clenched their fists tightly. Wang. In the next moment, the leading expert from the Thunder Light Race waved his arm and a thundercloud shrouded everyone in it. Wang Xian lifted his head and his eyes shone. This was a postnatal cardinal treasure. The test begins. As the leading middle-aged man finished his sentence, lightning bolts descended from above. A bolt of lightning landed on Wang Xian, but he didn't react at all. Arg! However, cries of agony could be heard from the surroundings. One by one, the young men who fell to the ground were sent out by the experts from the Thunder Light Race with a wave of their arms. Crackle! 5 seconds later, another bolt of lightning landed on Wang Xian. The strength of this lightning was about the same as his scraping sand. However, another batch of people fell to the ground. The third round continued. By the fifth round, there were only slightly more than 1,000 people in the field. At this moment, other than Wang Xian, the rest were in a sorry state. Wang Xian stood there without any change in his expression. This attracted the attention of the experts from the Thunder Light Race in front of him. They were shocked. Around them, some of the participants also looked at Wang Xian in shock. Good, not bad. 1,103 of you have passed the test and can join the outer sect of the Thunder Light Race. Follow us for some simple tests. The experts from the Thunder Light Race were satisfied as they spoke to them. Follow us into the teleportation formation. The experts from the Thunder Light Race immediately entered the teleportation formation and disappeared. Let's go over. Over 1,000 disciples who had passed the test followed behind them excitedly. They were teleported through the teleportation formation. Wang Xian entered the teleportation formation and immediately felt the surroundings changing. In front of him was a palace. The entire palace was suspended in the middle of a thundercloud. They were on a high platform in front of the palace. On this high platform, there were many disciples from the Thunder Light Race. There were tens of thousands of disciples from the Thunder Light Race in the surrounding area. When Wang Xian arrived, he felt a strong suction force. His eyes were burning with passion as he stared in front of him. An old man from the Thunder Light Race was sitting in the center. That familiar feeling came from where the old man's wings were. The feather of thunder was there. Chapter 3362. That old man is the great elder of the Thunder Light Race. Wang Xian stared at that old man with excitement in his heart. His eyes flickered as he pondered on how to strike. Great elder. At this time, the dozen experts from the Thunder Light Race flew to the front of the old man and cupped their fists. Did you meet any good seedlings? The old man had a head of white hair, and even the tip of his sharp nose was white. He opened his mouth and asked plainly, Great elder, there is indeed a seedling this time. One of them is a young man whom we have yet to test. As for the rest, they are all ninth order god emperors. The middle-aged man in the lead reported, Oh, Lei Lianyun did not test his strength in the past few trials. It seems like his strength has reached the first order of the universe supremacy realm. Such talents are rare. The great elder was pleasantly surprised. He chuckled as he swept his gaze across the 1,000-odd disciples on the platform. His eyes finally landed on Wang Xian. His eyes flickered as he waved his hand, and a round disc appeared. A bolt of lightning covered the disc slowly. Wang Xian stood there and lowered his head slightly when he saw this scene. He wasn't afraid of being found out. Suddenly, the great elder, who was looking at the disc, froze as he stared in disbelief at the content displayed on the disc. He lifted his head and looked at Wang Xian with shock in his eyes. Other than that disciple, let the rest have a spar. The great elder took a few deep breaths and pondered for a moment before ordering the dozen people in front of him. Yes, the dozen experts from the Thunder Light Race who were in charge of recruiting disciples nodded their heads. All of you are now outer sect disciples of the Thunder Light Race. Next, you will be ranked according to your strength. Make good use of this opportunity. The stronger you are and the higher your ranking is, the more rewards you will receive. The middle-aged man in charge of recruiting disciples said to Wang Xian and the rest. The great elder sat there, gently knocking on the chair, his expression changing slightly. He passed the disc to an old man beside him. Huh. The old man kept his eyes closed after taking a glance. When he saw the disc that the great elder passed to him, he was taken aback. When he saw the information on it, his eyes narrowed. Is this real? How is this possible? The old man exclaimed in a low voice in shock. This is indeed unimaginable. Such a genius is too rare. The great elder said, why did he join our lightning race? With his strength, it's impossible that he doesn't have a powerful background. The old man said with his eyes wide open, there is another possibility, and that is that he obtained a powerful inheritance. However, this possibility is very small. The first elder guessed, it is indeed too strange for him to want to join our lightning race. Other factions would definitely nurture such a disciple like him like a treasure. There's no way they would let him go, let alone allow him to join our Thunder Ray tribe. There's no way we wouldn't want such a disciple. The old man said slowly. Let's investigate the situation first. The first elder's eyes flickered, his heart filled with doubt and shock. The strongest is a void 9th stage God Emperor, and his control over lightning techniques is only average. This time, it is even worse than the previous time. Previously, there was at least a void peak God Emperor. Indeed, it seems like this batch of disciples isn't good enough. On the high platform, the disciples were sparring. Around them, some older disciples were watching and discussing softly with smiles on their faces. The lightning race was divided into outer and inner disciples. Those whose combat power was below the universe paragon level would be considered as outer disciples. At the front, there was a group of inner disciples watching him. They had their arms crossed and were looking at him from above. The sparring ended quickly. However, Wang Xian wasn't called up yet. This is a little boring. I thought it would be fun for the new disciples. Sigh. At the front, a young girl from the lightning race shook her head and commented in boredom. Hee. The test for the new disciples has always been boring. We're just here to stand our ground. A middle-aged man chuckled and said to her, Senior brother, how much longer before it ends? I'm preparing to slip away. The woman glanced around and said in a low voice, Junior sister, the elder is in front. The middle-aged man reminded her softly, Hee, it's fine. The great elder is quite nice. He won't beat me up. The girl giggled softly. The middle-aged man shook his head helplessly when he heard her. This junior sister of his was exceptionally talented. Apart from the great senior brother, she was the most talented genius in the lightning race. At such a young age, she already possessed the strength of a third-order universe paragon. In the future, there was a high possibility that she would become the great senior sister of the lightning race. The seniority among the disciples of the lightning race wasn't based on who joined the race first or their age. Instead, it was based on their strength. Moreover, the master of this junior sister was the junior sister of the great elder. Many elders in the lightning race doted on her. The girl shrunk her head and was about to retreat from the back. The great elder and the rest watched every move of the girl from the high platform. The great elder of the lightning race squinted his eyes. Zhang Yuan, come over here. Spar with a disciple, he said to the girl who was about to slip away. Huh. When the girl heard the great elder calling her name, she turned around and lowered her head immediately. Huh, what? Go to the high platform and spar with a new disciple. The great elder looked at her and smiled. Oh? The old man at the side chuckled when he saw the arrangement. He mumbled to himself, that's good too. Let this last know how high the sky is. You want me to spar with a new junior brother? Are you serious, great elder? The girl lifted her head with a shocked expression. She widened her eyes and said, I can defeat this group of junior brothers with just a finger. Great elder, are you kidding me? This disciple, come out and spar with her. If you defeat her, you will be rewarded with an acquired spiritual treasure. At this time, the great elder looked at Wang Xian and instructed him. Huh. Upon hearing the great elder of the lightning race, Wang Xian was stunned. As expected, his strength had been discovered. However, what was the great elder trying to do? What's going on? Letting a new disciple spar with senior sister Lei Zhongyun? That can't be. Senior sister Lei Zhongyun has the strength of a third-order universe paragon. How can a new disciple spar with senior sister? What's going on? Why would the great elder make such an arrangement? The surrounding disciples were stunned as they listened to the great elder's instructions. Even some of the attendants and managers of the lightning race were shocked. Chapter 3363. Lei Zhongyun was a proud son of heaven of the Thunder Light race. His battle prowess had already reached the level of a third-order universe supremacy, and he had at least 4 or 5 postnatal spiritual treasures. Lei Zhongyun had great potential to become the eldest senior sister of the Thunder Ray race in the future. The title of Great Senior Sister represented the strongest female disciple in the Lightning race. If she could defeat the Thunder race's eldest senior brother in the future, she would become the eldest senior sister of the entire Thunder race. The status of eldest senior brother and eldest senior sister in the Thunder Ray race was extremely high and was not inferior to that of an ordinary elder. This was because the person who obtained this title had the potential to reach the peak of the Lightning race. However, it was also very difficult to obtain the title of eldest senior brother and eldest senior sister. The eldest apprentice brother of the Lightning race was now more than 400 epochs old. Now, they wanted Lei Zhongyun, who had the battle prowess of a third-order universe venerable and the potential of a senior sister, to spar with a new disciple who had just joined the Lightning race. All the disciples in the hall were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. In the end, they fixed their eyes on Wang Xian with bewilderment. Could it be that this fellow was hiding his strength? It's him. The disciples around Wang Xian looked at him with glistening eyes. They all knew that among them, this fellow was the strongest. He had not revealed his true strength since the beginning. He wasn't called up for the spar just now. The great elder wants me to spar with a little fellow like you. It seems like you have some strength. Lei Zhongyun reacted and sized Wang Xian up from head to toe as he spoke plainly. Whoosh. Come, as your senior sister. I won't bully you. I won't use any spirit treasures. In a flash, she flew to the platform and hooked her finger at Wang Xian. When Wang Xian saw everyone focusing their attention on him, he felt a little helpless. At this point, he couldn't possibly charge towards the great elder of the Thunderlight tribe directly, as there was a high chance that he would fail. You're not worth my time. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he looked at Lei Zhongyun. When Lei Zhongyun heard his words, he was slightly stunned. His eyes revealed a trace of anger. Little fellow, do you not know the immensity of heaven and earth? Damn, this new disciple is so arrogant. Does he have the capital to be arrogant, or is there something wrong with his brain? How dare he be so arrogant to junior sister Zhongyun? This kid is looking for a beating. When the crowd heard what he said, they were all astonished. This was too arrogant. Hee. The great elder of the Thunderlight tribe smiled faintly. You. Very well, I want to make your face stick to the ground. Lei Zhongyun clenched his fist, and the wings on his back flickered with lightning. Crash. The next moment, her figure instantly disappeared. Looking at her shadow, Wang Xian revealed a smile and waved his arm. A 4-meter-tall figure appeared in front of him. At this moment, Lei Zhongyun's figure happened to appear in front of Wang Xian. She clenched her fist and was about to throw a punch at Wang Xian's face. However, when she saw the figure beside Wang Xian, she froze. Chirp chirp. The thundercloud vulture at the side looked at Lei Zhongyun curiously and cried out. You. When Lei Zhongyun saw the thundercloud vulture staring at him, his expression changed continuously. The Thunder Cloud Vulture with the combat power of a universe venerable level 6 stood beside the young disciple. What the hell? How was she going to fight? She was sure that before her fist landed, she would have been electrocuted black. Oh! At this moment, the great elder of the Thunderlight tribe raised his eyebrows when he saw the Thundercloud Vulture. He was surprised. This is a Thundercloud Vulture with the combat power of a universe venerable level 6. How is this possible? How can that disciple have such a terrifying battle pet? That's a thundercloud vulture. It's an extremely rare and precious wild beast in our thundercloud territory. It's too difficult to capture one as a battle pet. How can he have a thundercloud vulture with the combat power of a universe venerable level 6? How can he suppress it? All the surrounding disciples of the Thunder Ray tribe were shocked when they saw this scene. Even the expression of the lightning race expert changed slightly as shock filled his face. Thundercloud vultures were extremely rare in the thundercloud territory. They were especially good at speed. In terms of speed, even the experts from the Thunderlight tribe of the same level could not be compared. Within the Thunderlight tribe, there were also many thundercloud vultures that had been suppressed and tamed. However, there were only a few dozen of them, and most of them were in the hands of the top experts from the Thunderlight tribe. Their tribe leader had once wanted to form a thundercloud vulture battle group but had failed. Thundercloud vultures were too rare, and they were too fast. However, a new disciple actually had a thundercloud vulture with the combat power of a universe venerable level 6? This made them feel a little incredulous. Could he be the descendant of a senior from the Thunderlight tribe? Some disciples were bewildered. Do you still want to fight? Wang Xian listened to the discussions around him and looked at Lei Zhengyun with a smile as he asked teasingly, Are you the descendant of a senior from the Thunderlight tribe? Lei Zhengyun's expression kept changing as he could not help but ask, All right, Zhengyun, you've lost. You have to know that there will always be someone better in this world. This disciple is not even 20 years old, and yet he could defeat you easily. Don't be arrogant in the future. The great elder of the Thunderlight tribe said with a smile, That's because he has a thundercloud vulture with the combat power of a universe venerable level 6. He doesn't count. Lei Zhengyun pouted and said with a face full of unwillingness, Zhengfa. The great elder of the Thunderlight tribe chuckled as he looked at a middle-aged man not far from him. I'm here. The middle-aged man cupped his hands and stepped forward immediately. Have a spar with this disciple. The great elder of the Thunderlight tribe said as he looked at Wang Xian. If you can win this time, as the great elder of the Thunderlight tribe, I'll reward you with a suitable acquired cardinal treasure. What? Acquired cardinal treasure? I'll reward him with an acquired cardinal treasure. Isn't this a little too generous? In the entire Thunderlight tribe, only Big Senior Brother and Big Senior Sister have been rewarded with acquired cardinal treasures. Now, the Great Elder is actually promising such a precious prize. Lei Zhengfa is our 9th senior brother. He's ranked 9th among the current generation of disciples and has the combat power of a universe venerable level 6. Even if he has the Thundercloud Vulture, he might not be a match for 9th senior brother. That's right. Acquired cardinal treasures aren't that easy to obtain. The surrounding disciples were astonished when they heard the Great Elder's words. Lei Zhengfa was also slightly taken aback as he bowed and replied, Yes? Huh. Wang Xian was also slightly taken aback when he heard the Great Elder's instructions. This isn't going according to plan. If I win, I'll get an acquired cardinal treasure. Chapter 3364. Even in the great desolate continent, Hotian cardinal treasures were extremely powerful treasures. Among the disciples of the Thunderlight tribe, there were only a handful of disciples who possessed acquired cardinal treasures. However, the great elder of the Thunderlight tribe had agreed to give him an acquired cardinal treasure as long as he won. This made him feel a little awkward. He was here to snatch something today. Sure. However, Wang Xian couldn't reject at this juncture. He nodded his head with a glimmer in his eyes. This new disciple, I'll ask for your guidance. Lei Zhengfa didn't let his guard down. If he could suppress the Thundercloud Vulture, he couldn't be weak. Moreover, he could tell from the Great Elder's attitude. Please advise me. Wang Xian moved his palm and kept the Thundercloud Vulture. He shook his body and the unbeginning sacred wings appeared on his back. Only the lightning attribute unbeginning sacred wings appeared, which looked very strange. On the other side, Wang Xian condensed a pair of thunderbolt wings with the power of lightning. This is? At this moment, the Great Elder, who was standing at the front, saw the unbeginning sacred wings on Wang Xian's back. His body trembled violently and his eyes lit up. He pondered for a moment and watched silently. Should he use the thundercloud vulture for a one-on-one spar? He's so confident. When the surrounding disciples of the Thunder Ray tribe saw this, their eyes narrowed as astonished looks appeared on their faces. This guy should be a rank 6 universe venerable. How is this possible? He's not even 20 years old. This is impossible. Lei Zhengyun shook his head in disbelief. With such strength at such a young age, wouldn't he be considered extremely powerful even among the elite tribes? Be careful. Lei Zhengfa moved and lightning flickered on his body as he charged towards Wang Xian. Wang Xian focused his eyes. He had used the metal to conceal his 8 attributes and 8 types of energy. When he didn't use the 8 attributes, the 5 elements grindstone, and the Tai Chi dragon coil, his combat power was only at rank 6 universe venerable. At this time, he naturally couldn't expose his full strength. Wang Xian moved his palm and the lightning condensed into a dragon claw, which he grabbed forward. Great! I didn't expect to spar with such a genius today. Lei Zhengfa laughed when he sensed Wang Xian's attack. A thunder hammer and thunder all appeared in his hands. Ka-ka! The thunder hammer struck the thunder all, and a bolt of lightning struck the thunder dragon claw. Crackle! The sound of collision rang out. Wang Xian waved his hand and a bolt of lightning appeared in his hand. This bolt of lightning was something he had obtained from the thunderclouds. It was an acquired spiritual treasure. Kill. He waved his arm and lightning covered the lightning. It slowly turned into a lightning dragon. It swayed its huge body and directly attacked Lei Zhengfa. Hiss, that disciple is so powerful. He has just joined our Thunder Ray race and hasn't even reached the 20th epoch yet, but he is already so powerful. This is too terrifying. Is he still human? Even a monstrous genius wouldn't be this monstrous. What powerful strength. The surrounding disciples were shocked to see the clash between Wang Xian and Lei Zhengfa. Lei Zhengfa was their senior brother. In the Thunder Light race, he could be ranked highly. This young man's means, beside the great elder of the Thunder Ray race. An old man stared at Wang Xian and mumbled, Divine Dragon. It's similar to the attacks of the Divine Dragon lineage. This isn't his true form. He should be a Divine Dragon. The great elder's eyes lit up as he spoke. Divine Dragon lineage? Is he a disciple of the ancestral dragon? It's highly possible. Other than those pinnacle races and forces, there aren't many high-level races with such talent and strength. The disciple of the ancestral dragon wants to join our Thunder Ray race? The old man beside him said in shock. That's not impossible. Now that the leader of the ancestral dragon has dispersed all his disciples and ordered them to pursue all kinds of techniques, the disciples of the ancestral dragon won't gather as long as a universe sovereign is not born. There are precedents of disciples of the ancestral dragon joining other forces. The great elder said. The ancestral dragon lineage was now known as the orthodox lineage of the divine dragon lineage. The leader of the ancestral dragon was also respected by many experts. Within the ancestral dragon lineage, there were many experts and supreme talents. Those purebred divine dragons and those pinnacle dragon species had talents comparable to those of the pinnacle races. As for some disciples of the ancestral dragon lineage, in order to pursue greater strength, follow their leader, and pursue the universe sovereign realm, some of them joined other forces. The other forces didn't reject them. Firstly, the disciples of the ancestral dragon lineage were indeed outstanding. Secondly, regardless of whether the ancestral dragon lineage had a universe sovereign in the future, it would only be beneficial to these forces. If the ancestral dragon lineage had a universe sovereign and the disciple of the ancestral dragon returned, their race would also be connected to a pinnacle race because of this disciple. If the ancestral dragon lineage didn't have a universe sovereign, their race would have an expert with the bloodline of the divine dragon. Why not? With such a disciple, said the old man as he looked at Wang Xian in the field, nurture him with all our might. I'll report this to the patriarch and the rest later. The great elder of the Thunder Ray race said with a smile. The old man nodded. Zhengfa is going to lose. Zhengfa shouldn't have engaged him in close combat. The physical body of a divine dragon isn't something our Thunder Ray race can compare with. The Great Elder looked ahead and said, "Bam!" A violent collision sound came from the front. Wang Xian's arm was covered with dragon scales. He clenched his fist and collided with Lei Zhengfa. A powerful force rushed towards Lei Zhengfa. Sensing the force, Lei Zhengfa held his breath and couldn't help but fly backwards. Pa pa pa. In the next instant, thunderbolts exploded around Lei Zhengfa, causing his expression to change. Huff, I've lost. Lei Zhengfa looked at Wang Xian with a complicated expression and said disappointedly, "This, senior brother Lei Zhengfa has lost." The surrounding disciples of the Thunder Ray race were dumbfounded. Defeated just like that? Their senior brother had been defeated by a newly joined disciple? Great, great. What a strong divine dragon body and strong control of thunder techniques. What's the name of this disciple? The Great Elder stood up and applauded loudly. Wang Xian. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he replied, "Wang Xian? Great. You've defeated a strong senior brother. I'll fulfill my promise and reward you with an acquired cardinal treasure. However, I'll give you a choice." The Great Elder squinted his eyes as he spoke. "Please speak, Great Elder." Wang Xian cupped his hands. "I have a part of a treasure here. You should have a part of it too. If you're sincere in joining the Thunder Ray race, I can give it all to you." As the Great Elder spoke, he moved his palm and lightning feathers appeared in his hand. Her? This? Wang Xian opened his mouth slightly when he saw this. Damn, it's that easy? This isn't going according to plan at all. Wang Xian's original plan was to pull the wings off the back of the Great Elder of the Thunder Ray race and bring the lightning feathers away. However, he had already thought of an escape route. He had even considered how to deal with the attack of the experts of the Thunder Ray race. Little did he expect that the Great Elder of the Thunder Ray race would give it to him as a gift. This was beyond his expectations. Chapter 3365. 27 lightning feathers floated in front of the Great Elder of the Thunder Light tribe. Wang Xian could feel the restlessness of the unbeginning sacred wings in his body. He frowned slightly as he looked at the 27 lightning feathers. The lightning feathers were within his reach, but the Great Elder of the Thunder Light tribe had stated a condition. He wanted him to join the Thunder Light tribe sincerely. As the leader of the Dragon Palace, how could he join the Thunder Light tribe? However, the other party had not shown any signs of disgust. If he were to snatch it directly, he would feel bad. I understand your hesitation. I also know that you are a disciple of the ancestral dragon lineage. You will leave the moment your ancestral dragon lineage needs you. It doesn't matter. If you decide to leave the Thunder Ray tribe one day, you can do so directly. You just need to remember our kindness. Join the Thunder Light tribe, and we will not mistreat you. The Great Elder of the Thunder Light tribe suddenly spoke again. Huh. When Wang Xian heard this, he paused for a moment. What's going on? He thinks I am a disciple of the ancestral dragon bloodline? I can leave at any time as long as I remember this favor? Wang Xian pondered for a while and instantly figured out many things. What? He is a disciple of the ancestral dragon bloodline? Is he a divine dragon? No wonder. No wonder he is so powerful. He has such strength at such a young age. He must be an elite supreme talent of the ancestral dragon bloodline. Is he a divine dragon? A purebred divine dragon? A lightning dragon? The surrounding disciples of the Thunder Light tribe discussed in shock when they heard the Great Elder. He is a divine dragon? No wonder his attack looked like the attack of the Divine Dragon Clan. Lei Zhangyun and Lei Zhengfa were also shocked as they sized Wang Xian up curiously. All right, I will never forget the kindness of the Thunder Light tribe. Upon hearing his words, Wang Xian did not hesitate any longer and agreed immediately. Since the other party had mistaken him as a disciple of the ancestral dragon bloodline, he would make the best of it. As long as he remembered this kindness. These 27 lightning feathers were very important to him. Since the other party had given them to him in such a manner, Wang Xian would owe them a favor. He would repay them in the future. Haha, great. Wang Xian, right? Welcome to our Thunder Ray race. You're the first person with the Divine Dragon bloodline to join our Thunder Ray race. This is your reward. The Thunder Light race's Great Elder laughed heartily. With a wave of his arm, he tossed the 27 thunder feathers to him. When Wang Xian saw the 27 lightning feathers, his eyes were filled with excitement. He immediately extended his hand to receive them. He had finally found the last part of the unbeginning sacred wings. Moreover, Wang Xian realized that these feathers of lightning had been nurtured by the great elder of the lightning race. Each of them was comparable to an acquired spiritual treasure. 27 lightning feathers were comparable to 27 acquired spiritual treasures. After he nurtured it, he would be able to completely restore the unbeginning saint wings. At that time, what kind of radiance would the unbeginning sacred wings have? Now that he possessed 9 attributes, how could he unleash such power? His eyes sparkled as he put away all the lightning feathers. "Thank you, First Elder." Wang Xian expressed his gratitude immediately with a smile. "This was a sincere thank you. You're welcome. This is what you deserve. As the pride of the Thunder Light race, we will give you all kinds of rewards. With your strength, you can enter the inner sect directly. I'll bring you to a residence that you will be living in the future." The great elder waved his hand and was in a good mood. "Yes." Wang Xian smiled and stood at the side. "I'll leave the rest to you. Wang Xian, follow me." The great elder instructed the group of experts from the Thunder Light race. He looked at Wang Xian and gestured for him to follow him. Wang Xian nodded his head and immediately followed behind the great elder. I didn't expect a disciple of the ancestral dragon bloodline to join the Thunder Light race. Moreover, the great elder seems very happy. That's for sure. This is a win-win for us. If Wang Xian is a purebred divine dragon and marries a female disciple of the Thunder Light race in the future, they will give birth to a dragon. If there's a pinnacle dragon among them, the Thunder Light race will have made a killing. Perhaps even the great elder doesn't think as much as you? Hee, I don't think so. However, this Wang Xian is really impressive to possess such strength at such a young age. He'll be our senior brother in the future. After the great elder left, some of the older disciples of the Thunder Light race discussed softly. They had some guesses as to what the great elder was doing. Wang Xian, who had just left with the great elder of the Thunder Light race, heard the discussions behind him. His face darkened. This seemed to be a real possibility. He shook his head and threw these thoughts to the back of his mind. The main reason why he had come to the chaotic continent was for the lightning feather. Now that he had gotten it so smoothly, it was a pleasant surprise. "Come, Wang Xian. This is a patch of thunderclouds where the inner sect disciples reside. Within this patch of thunderclouds, there's a blessed land called the Thunder Mountain. The Thunder Mountain emits the power of lightning that materializes and is extremely beneficial to the cultivation of the lightning Tao. The closer you get to the peak of the Thunder Mountain, the more benefits you will get from the cultivation of the lightning Tao." The great elder brought Wang Xian to a patch of thunderclouds. Within this patch of thunderclouds, there was a purple thunder mountain. This thunder mountain was very strange. It wasn't floating in the air but was connected to the ground below. This was a powerful blessed grotto heaven. Just the place where the disciples resided was within the blessed land. One could imagine the strength of the Thunder Light race. "There's an empty palace at the peak. You can stay here in the future," the great elder said to Wang Xian. "Okay." Wang Xian looked over and nodded. This palace was near the peak and was considered an excellent location within the Blessed Land. However, Wang Xian wasn't concerned about this. He was prepared to make a trip back to the Dragon Palace to refine the lightning feather completely. "I'll bring you to some important places of the Thunder Light race so that you can get to know them." The great elder continued talking to him as he brought him to take a brief look at the other places of the Thunder Light race. There was the Techniques Depository of the Thunder Light race, the Ascending Thunder Peak, and the Blessed Land where the disciples went for training. There was also the main hall of the Thunder Light race. Each place represented a grotto heaven and blessed land. Wang Xian did a rough calculation. Just the places that the great elder of the Thunder Ray tribe had brought him to had more than 10 grotto heaven and blessed land. This also allowed Wang Xian to truly witness the strength of the races within the chaotic continent. After all, the current Dragon Palace only occupied a single blessed land. These are some of the rules and things to take note of in the Thunderlight race. Take a look first. 3 days later, there will be disciples looking for you. You can also get to know each other. Before the great elder left, He passed a jade letter to Wang Xian. All right, Great Elder. Wang Xian nodded his head and watched as the Great Elder left. Forget it. I'll just stay with the Thunder Light Race for some time and venture deeper into the chaotic continent. After standing there for more than 10 seconds, he smiled and entered his own hall. Chapter 3366. The interior of the main hall was lavishly decorated. Wang Xian scanned the surroundings and was very satisfied with the interior. He did not take out the unbeginning sacred wings immediately. After observing for a while, he took a look at the information given to him by the Great Elder of the Thunder Light Tribe. He looked up all the rules and information about the Thunder Ray Tribe. In this unfamiliar place, Wang Xian had to be careful. Chief. Just as Wang Xian was browsing through the various messages, a majestic hall bathed in lightning was located in the main hall of the Thunder Ray Tribe. From afar, it looked majestic. The Great Elder of the Thunder Light Tribe stood in a room at the side of the main hall and bowed respectfully to the chief of the Thunder Light Tribe. Her? What's the joyous occasion that made you call me over so anxiously? The chief of the Thunder Light Tribe sat on a chair and asked the Great Elder with a smile. Chief, regarding the disciple recruitment today, we had an accident. The Grand Elder happily reported everything that had happened that day to the Patriarch. Her? The chief of the Thunder Light Tribe raised an eyebrow upon hearing his words. His eyes flickered. Very well done. With such strength at such a young age, there's a high possibility that he's a purebred divine dragon. Make arrangements for the disciples of the Thunder Light Tribe to interact with him more, be it sparring or training together. Oh, especially the female disciples. As the Patriarch spoke, he gently tilted his chair. Yes, Chief. I know what to do. The Great Elder nodded with a smile. If the other party was a purebred divine dragon, the Thunder Light Tribe hoped that he could get married and have children here. If a purebred divine dragon or a powerful dragon was born, it would be extremely beneficial to the Thunder Light Tribe. Treat him well. Give him treasures and resources. Even if he runs away, we will only suffer some losses. However, as long as he doesn't run away, we will earn a lot. Of course, we have to check his temperament too. The chief of the Thunder Light Tribe continued to instruct. The Great Elder of the Thunder Light Tribe nodded slightly. The rules are still all right. The Thunder Light Tribe seems to be pretty good. The competition is fair. Wang Xian mumbled to himself after reading all the information in the main hall that he was staying in. His eyes flickered as he sat cross-legged in the cultivation room. He contacted the blazing sky array and carved an array. Buzz. Soon, Unlai and Sky Formation's figures appeared. Dragon King. The two of them immediately bowed. Sky Array, set up some shielding formations in this room. If anyone comes in, immediately return to the Dragon Palace and inform me. Wang Xian immediately instructed the Sky Array. It's Dragon King. The Heavenly Formation answered. Wang Xian nodded. In the next moment, he disappeared and returned to the Dragon Palace. I'm suffocating. After coming out, Wang Xian let Lingling out. He ignored the little brat and went straight to the Dragon King Hall. Buzz. With a jolt of his body, Wang Xian took out 27 lightning feathers. The last 27 lightning feathers. Crash. The unbeginning sacred wings appeared on his back. With a slight flap, the 27 thunder feathers automatically flew backward. Crackle. When the 27 lightning feathers landed on it, the power of thunder began to circulate and the lightning bolts intertwined with each other. Wang Xian stood there and sensed it quietly. The feather of thunder had already begun to return to the unbeginning sacred wings. Wang Xian could sense a majestic thunder and lightning being nurtured and reborn. However, he needed some time to nurture the lightning feathers before they could be completely integrated. Roar. On the unbeginning sacred wings, Wang Xian's thunder attribute doppelganger slowly stretched out his head and let out a roar. He began to swim on it, one lightning feather and the other wind feather. The two wings were on his back and were flapping slowly. Gradually, Wang Xian realized that the two doppelgangers of wind and thunder were slowly merging. This integration was not just into one, but the integration of energy. The speed of integration was slow and would require some time. At least a month's time, Wang Xian murmured as he sensed the speed of integration behind him. A month later, the complete, unbeginning sacred wings would appear. The power of thunder in my body is constantly increasing. It won't be long before I can possess the combat power of a level 7 universe venerable with the power of thunder in my physical body. He calculated in his heart as he nurtured the unbeginning sacred wings with all his might, waiting for it to be completed. Dragon King, someone has entered your palace. 3 days passed quickly, and the sky array sent a message. Huh. Wang Xian opened his eyes and shouted, Sky array? Wang. The silhouette of the sky array appeared. In the next moment, he returned to the main hall of the lightning race. He immediately concealed his energy with the special silvery white metal and flew out. Is junior brother Wang Xian cultivating inside? At the entrance of the main hall, hundreds of disciples of the lightning race stood at the front. The middle-aged man leading the group looked in with doubts. He's out. At this time, a girl's voice was heard, and she looked forward curiously. Greetings, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm cultivating. Wang Xian walked out of the main hall and greeted the group of Thunder Ray tribe disciples at the entrance with a smile on his face. No wonder junior brother Wang Xian could possess such strength at such a young age. You're really hard-working in your cultivation. We've disturbed you. The middle-aged man leading the group smiled and cupped his hands at Wang Xian. Not at all. I'm the one who forgot about the time. The great elder has already informed me in advance. Wang Xian shook his head and invited, Senior and junior brothers, would you like to come in and have a seat? No. We are here to get to know junior brother Wang Xian. Naturally, we would like to invite you to our place. Let's go. We have prepared some good wine and dishes from the Thunder Ray race. I guarantee you have never tasted them before. The middle-aged man waved his hand and invited him. Sorry to bother you. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. Come, junior brother Wang Xian. Let me introduce you to everyone. From now on, we'll be a family in the lightning race. Feel free to look for us if you need anything. The universe AI will add you in a while. Junior brother Wang Xian, you don't have to stand on ceremony with us. As the middle-aged man spoke, he introduced the surrounding disciples to Wang Xian. From the middle-aged man's introduction, Wang Xian also knew his identity. The fourth senior brother of the lightning race was ranked fourth among the disciples. Among the disciples who came, he was the strongest. The top 3 senior brothers and sisters did not come this time. Wang Xian, senior brother, are you a divine dragon? A purebred divine dragon? How can you be so powerful at such a young age? You're so much more powerful than me. When they arrived at an entertainment venue for the disciples, Lei Zhongyun could not help but ask Wang Xian. Chapter 3367. Wang Xian's age and the strength he had displayed far surpassed the disciples of the Thunder Light tribe. It was especially so for Lei Zhongyun, who felt a huge blow. Her strength and talent were definitely top-notch within the same generation of the Thunder Light tribe. She wasn't inferior to her eldest senior brother. However, her current strength was worlds apart from Wang Xian. This was a huge blow to her. She stared at Wang Xian curiously. Was he a purebred divine dragon? The surrounding disciples of the Thunder Light tribe also looked at Wang Xian curiously when they heard Lei Zhongyun's question. They were also curious about whether Wang Xian was a purebred divine dragon. Purebred divine dragons were powerful creatures that belonged to the pinnacle of the supremacies in the universe. They could fight opponents 3 levels higher than them, possessed powerful techniques, and had a chance of reaching the pinnacle. The Thunder Light tribe didn't seem weak. Their strongest expert was a pinnacle supremacy. However, the truth was that their strongest expert was only a level 8 supremacy. In the interior of the great desolate continent, the majority of life forms could fight 2 ranks above them. This meant that bloodlines and talents that could fight above their ranks were useless in the great desolate continent. There were still level 9 and pinnacle supremacies stronger than them, not to mention those powerful pinnacle races. You can say so. Wang Xian smiled and nodded when he heard Lei Zhongyun's curious words. He moved his palm and turned it into a dragon claw. The void froze and a lightning dragon soared into the sky before disappearing. Junior brother Wang Xian is really a purebred divine dragon? This is amazing. A purebred divine dragon and a lightning dragon at that. This lightning dragon should be much more talented than us. In the future, junior brother Wang Xian will definitely surpass our patriarch and the rest. This is the first time I've seen a pinnacle race. I'm so envious. The group of disciples from the Thunder Light race looked at Wang Xian with envy in their eyes. Since the birth of the Thunder Light tribe, the strongest expert had been a level 8 supremacy. This had a lot to do with their own physique, bloodline, and techniques. It was extremely difficult for them to break through this shackle. This was also the reason why the strongest expert in the Thunder Light tribe was only a pinnacle supremacy. However, a purebred divine dragon was different. The only shackle for a purebred divine dragon was when they broke through to the universe dominator. At that time, their combat power could easily wipe out the entire Thunder Light tribe. This was the relationship between potential and upper limit. The other disciples of the Thunder Ray tribe were naturally envious of Wang Xian for possessing the body of a purebred divine dragon. Wang Xian chuckled. The divine dragon lineage was indeed not something the Thunder Light race could compare to. No wonder senior brother Wang Xian could defeat me. So you're a purebred divine dragon. Come, senior brother Wang Xian, let's go inside. Lei Zhengfa said from the side. The group arrived at the place where the disciples of the Thunder Light tribe had fun. When he entered, some of the disciples saw him and whispered to each other. Their faces were filled with curiosity. Now, all the disciples of the Thunder Ray race knew that an extremely powerful and demon-like disciple had arrived. Senior brother Lei Zhengfa, who had defeated a universe venerable level 6 in less than 20 eras, and even had a thundercloud vulture as a battle pet. This caused all the disciples to be extremely shocked. In particular, the fact that he might be a purebred divine dragon was even more shocking. Come, junior brother Wang Xian, have a taste. This is the thundercloud brew that I got from the elder. The group of disciples from the Thunder Light race greeted Wang Xian warmly. They had also received orders from their masters, the elders, and their seniors to befriend Wang Xian. They also wanted to be on good terms with such a powerful genius, a disciple with limitless potential. Moreover, Wang Xian's current strength could be ranked in the top 10 among the disciples of the Thunder Light race. After playing with the group of disciples for 5 to 6 hours, Wang Xian returned to his palace and announced that he was going into seclusion for a few months. The group of disciples from the Thunder Light race also smiled and nodded their heads. To them, a few months of seclusion was considered a very short period of time. Moreover, they also knew that Wang Xian had received a treasure from the Great Elder and needed to refine it. After returning to his palace, Wang Xian returned to the Dragon Palace again. This time, no one disturbed him. His identity as a purebred divine dragon had also spread throughout the Thunder Light race. This caused discussions among countless disciples and even the experts of the Thunder Light race. Time passed day by day. Wang Xian nurtured the unbeginning sacred wings in the Dragon Palace and waited for them to recover completely. Wang, chirp chirp. A month later, a bird-like chirp was heard from within the Dragon Palace. Chirp chirp. Roar roar. Behind Wang Xian, the unbeginning sacred wings were radiating intense light. The violent power of wind and thunder condensed into the form of a powerful bird. The pupils of this wind and thunder bird seemed to possess infinite wisdom as it appeared on the unbeginning sacred wings. At this moment, the shadow of Wang Xian's wind and thunder clone appeared. The wind and thunder bird entered the shadow of the wind and thunder clone. In the next instant, Wang Xian felt the intense power of wind and thunder surging into his body. As for the unbeginning sacred wings, it started to take root on Wang Xian's back and completely entered his body as though it was going to become one with his body. Boom! At this moment, Wang Xian felt a huge image surging into his mind. In the image, a wind and thunder bird, which was 10,000 meters in size, was battling with countless creatures in the void. Some of these creatures were like humans, while others were like demonic beasts. However, their attacks were extremely strange. All of them seemed to possess the ability to teleport. That's right, it was teleportation. It was similar to the teleportation of Enlai. These countless humans and demonic beasts were unusually strong. However, the wind and thunder bird was equally terrifying. bolts of lightning struck through the void. The speed of its flight was comparable to teleportation, or even faster. The speed of the wind and thunderbird had reached its peak. In fact, it even disappeared. Wang Xian could only see humans and demonic beasts being killed and falling to the ground. The brutal war continued, and the smell of blood permeated the entire void. In just a few minutes, the number of experts who died in the hands of the wind and thunderbird was innumerable. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In the next instant, Wang Xian saw more than 10 huge figures appearing in front of the wind and thunderbird. Around these huge figures, the void began to distort and the space was wrinkled. It was extremely strange. Wang Xian couldn't see what happened next. This was because the battle was too fast and there wasn't even a shadow. The entire scene lasted for half an hour. In the end, more than 10 huge corpses and a wind and thunder wings suddenly appeared. The other parts of the wind and thunderbird had disappeared completely. Wang Xian sensed the strange war in his mind and was shocked. Chapter 3368. Powerful Tempest Bird. Terrifying enemies that could teleport. Moreover, there were many of these enemies who could teleport, and they were densely packed. Who were they? Was there such a race in the universe? This made Wang Xian think of Enlai and the creepy devil spirit altar, and the creepy space that Enlai had gone to enhance his strength. In the universe, there were 9 attributes: metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, light, and darkness. These 9 attributes had evolved into the current universe. However, he had never heard of an attribute called space. In his opinion, to perform space teleportation, one would need to reach the Universe Lord realm. But now, it seemed that wasn't the case. There was more than one creepy existence like Enlai. No, they don't seem to be as creepy as Enlai. Enlai's space teleportation is faster and calmer than them. But even so, the ability of those humans and demonic beasts could also be called space teleportation. Wang Xian murmured. The scene in his mind had shocked him. Even in the inheritance of the divine dragon, there were no records of such an ability. Forget it. I'll know when I'm strong enough. From the scene just now, the Tempest Bird might have died. Now that the unbeginning sacred wings have completely integrated with me, I've also obtained an ability. Wang Xian shook his head and murmured. Searching the void was an ability that he had obtained. This ability originated from the Tempest Bird. It was a very powerful ability. By attaching the power of Tempest to the enemy, he would be able to find them no matter where they were hiding. Moreover, it had a very powerful effect, which was the lock-on effect. As long as one could lock on the enemy with the void lock-on, one's attack would be able to track them directly. Of course, there was a flaw. Only the power of Tempest could automatically track and attack. If Wang Xian were to use attacks of other attributes, there wouldn't be such an effect. But even so, this was already very powerful to him. Wang Xian's body shook, and his entire body was covered by the 9 attributes. These 9 attributes gave off different colors of light and surrounded his body. At the same time, Wang Xian's aura grew stronger. Just a little bit more. The other 8 attributes have been improving along with me. In terms of quality, they are stronger than the lightning attribute. My lightning attribute is still lacking. Wang Xian sensed his body. The 5 elements, yin-yang, tempest, and tempest. The 9 attributes were divided into 3 camps. Among the tempest, the lightning attribute was slightly weaker. The energy in his body had yet to reach a balance. I need to increase my lightning attribute a little. Once I achieve balance, I can increase my attack power by another tier. In other words, it's a battle of 7 ranks. A faint smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. 7 levels higher than him. At that time, he would possess the combat prowess of a pinnacle universe venerable. It wouldn't take long. Now, let's increase my power of thunder, Wang Xian murmured. With a shake of his body, the silvery white metal covered the 8 attributes, leaving only the thunder attribute. He felt the energy in his body. It was comparable to a newly advanced level 7 venerable. When he could insta-kill a level 7 venerable, that would be when he could fight against pinnacle venerables. Moreover, it wasn't as simple as just resisting. It should be able to instantly kill a pinnacle universe venerable. It's just as well. I can head over to the lightning race to improve my power of lightning. He called Enlai over and ordered him to bring him back to the Thunder Ray tribe. Enlai, this is for you. After arriving at the Thunder Ray tribe, he hesitated for a moment before passing the ancient oil lamp to Enlai. Currently, the energy within the oil lamp was enough to withstand an attack from a first-order sovereign realm expert. Any more, and it wouldn't work. Wang Xian had no use for it now. Moreover, his strength was increasing rapidly. Without sufficient energy, the oil lamp wouldn't be of much use to him. Thank you, Dragon King. With this defense, I can try to continue improving my strength. Holding the oil lamp, Enlai's eyes shone with excitement. Be careful. The space you went to is a little strange. Report to me when you come back. Wang Xian reminded him. Yes. Enlai nodded excitedly. He bowed and disappeared instantly. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he watched Enlai disappear. Didn't they know that the dimension Enlai had gone to was the great desolate continent? Or perhaps it was some other place. Back in the palace, Wang Xian took a look at the surroundings. With a swift movement, he headed out immediately. The place where his palace was located was a paradise. Thunder attribute cultivators could cultivate dozens of times faster here. However, Wang Xian didn't cultivate here. He wanted to go to other places, to other thunderclouds, to bathe in lightning and cultivate, or to see if he could hunt some lightning attribute wild beasts and absorb the power of lightning in their bodies. Wang Xian flew towards the foot of the mountain where the palace was. The Great Elder gave him a piece of information, which contained information about this thundercloud domain. Around the Thunder Ray tribe, there were fewer wild beasts and the power of lightning was milder. In the direction of the Sky Thunder City, it was milder. Behind the Thunder Ray tribe, there were some violent thunderclouds controlled by the Thunder Ray tribe. Further away was an area that the Thunder Ray tribe didn't control. There were wild beasts living there and violent lightning power. Disciples below the universe supremacy level were forbidden from going there as it was extremely dangerous. Even disciples above the universe supremacy level had to be careful. Although the disciples of the Thunder Ray tribe were good at speed, the wild beasts in the thunderclouds were even better. If they were ambushed and assassinated by wild beasts that were stronger than them, there was a high chance that they would be killed instantly. They wouldn't even be able to escape back to their own god nation. Therefore, the experts of the Thunder Ray tribe didn't recommend their disciples to go there. Of course, risks and benefits coexisted. One could obtain some lightning attribute spiritual treasures or even supreme treasures there. There were even quite a number of treasures for cultivation. The other 8 attributes in Wang Xian's body were concealed. Therefore, there was no need for him to reveal his full strength. As long as he was careful not to expose himself in times of danger, he could train and improve his strength at other times. When he arrived at the bottom, there was a teleportation array that could bring him directly to the border. Wang Xian entered the teleportation array and disappeared immediately. The next moment, he appeared in a public square. At the side, there were experts of the Thunder Ray tribe guarding this area. Seeing Wang Xian coming out from inside, the 6 experts guarding the area looked at him curiously. Be careful when you cultivate in the deeper areas. Don't lose your life. A middle-aged man reminded him kindly, you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.